This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Very, 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 Mickey, 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 Fishy, Fishy!
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Like who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me. I like him.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
You are listening to the world's best wrestling podcast, your favorite wrestling podcast. I am the king of banter, Kenta Kobashi of sex. I left that one out last week. And a good family man, Joe Lanza. And this is the Voices of Wrestling Flagship podcast. And unfortunately, we will not be joined by Rich Craich once again. Maybe he got lost in the desert. Maybe he suffered from dehydration in the desert. Maybe he got buried in the desert. I don't know. But I don't think Rich is here. Rich, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, I came. I'm on here. I'm on the show this week.
So you survived the
I
desert.
survived. I survived the scorpion attacks and the dehydration and the unbearable heat of 100 degrees, which at one point, when on your rant last week, you were talking about the temperature, and I loved the small bit of humility you had as you were looking at the average temperatures for Death Valley in April, and it was probably, I don't know, it was like 92 or something like that, or 93, something like that was the average temperature in April. And I'm sure, like, I don't know what the temperature is in Texas right now, but I'm sure there's not that much of a difference between what it was in Death Valley and what it was in Texas. But yes, I survived the unbearable heat, and somehow, some way, I survived the terrible town known as Las Vegas. But I'm here. I'm back. So
it's currently 83 degrees at 7:49 p.m. Here in College Station.
See, now for all your desert takes, the desert gets pretty cool at night. That is one benefit of the desert that I do not get here in Chicago in the summer when it's just unbearably hot the entire day. You do not get that in Texas, and I've only been to Texas briefly where it was just unbearably hot the entire day and it never let up. That is one benefit to the desert, that in the middle of the night the desert does get a little cold. So
listen, you're not going to sell me on the idea that it's not.
Look, for the record as well, and we do, I do bring this up on the Fired Up episode, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, the Fired Up with the Nurse. I mean, the desert, $5 tier, of course. The desert was like 1 day, 2 days of our entire trip. Like, you conveniently left out like Yosemite National Park and the giant sequoia trees and the snow that we had 12 hours later after the 100 degrees or whatever. That may have been my fault by not telling you that I was in all those places, because I don't know if I did. But yeah, you really honed in on the Death Valley portion of the trip, which was really essentially just two parts, 2 days of the entire thing.
Did you know that Death Valley is a desert within a desert bordering another desert?
It is, yes. It's so you got you have the Mojave. It's next to the Mojave, but I think it is technically the Mojave, but also technically not. And then I forget what the other desert called to the north of it is called. But yes, it is indeed a desert within a desert within a desert.
Did you see any scorpions?
No, I didn't see any scorpions. There was one.
Did you see any?
Oh, go ahead.
Did you see any snakes?
Heard some snakes. Didn't see any snakes. I don't like hearing snakes either, though. For the record, not a snake guy.
So you didn't see any snakes, but you heard some.
We heard some rattlesnakes. Yeah.
You heard rattlesnakes.
And then I didn't go where it was. I didn't find them. I wasn't like, what's that noise? Let's go find that out. Yeah, we were walking someplace and I heard a little rattling, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go this way because I don't really want to encounter a rattlesnake right now. So
that would have been the end of that for me. I would have went home.
I do have that same thing. Like, this is like a big, like, when you go to national parks and the places where we were, it wasn't too bad. Yosemite had a few warnings here and there, but when we went to Yellowstone and Grand Teton last year and Rocky Mountain as well, there's all these warnings about bears everywhere. Put your food here because of bears. Do this because of bears. Don't leave food in your car because the bears are going to see it. If you leave food on the seat, the bears are going to find it. They're going to see it. And okay, when you're done with your food, put it in this trash bin because the bears can't get into this one. And bear this and bear that and all this stuff about bears. And then you go on these hikes and it says, oh, beware of bears. And if you see a bear, do this and act like this in front of a bear. And don't run away. Be strong and be tall in front of the bear. You read all these signs about these goddamn bears. And then what happens is you go on these hikes and you're walking around or whatever. And then people think that they see bears. And you would think that the reaction would be, let's get the fuck away. I don't want to encounter a bear. Because that's my reaction. I don't want to encounter a bear. I have really no need to say, hey, let me see if the bear will be scared that I am acting tall and making noise. Like, I don't want to take my chances with their fucking paws that can rip my face off or whatever the hell. Bear claw. It'd be a claw, not a paw. But they're like these people that the second there might be a bear, all of a sudden everybody runs up and they're oh my God, I think there's a bear right there. And everyone's having the bear talk. It's like a fender bender or like a car accident or like a house fire in your neighborhood. Everybody kind of gathers and talks about the bear, and I think that's a bear. Oh, well, that is one thing I'm a Joe Lanza, kind of style person with that sort of nature where I'm good. I don't really need to encounter the bear. I don't really need to see the bear. I've seen bears. I see what they look like. I understand what bears look like. I'm good. I don't really need to see one on a hike. I really don't need one attempting to eat my face or whatever. It is a very weird phenomenon that you would think people would be scared of bears, but instead they're going out of the way to see. Oh my God, I hope we find a bear. I hope we see a bear on this hike. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm really would rather not see a bear on this entire hike. It is a very, very weird thing.
Well, they can get mauled by a bear.
Right, that's what I'm always like, all right, well, tell me how that goes, because I'm going this way. I'm not running away from the bear, but I'm going to slowly walk away from the direction where we think the bear might be, so.
Did you see any coyotes?
No, heard them. I heard them in the distance. I didn't see any.
You heard a coyote?
So there's coyotes in my backyard. Like that, I just saw a coyote literally 2 days ago walking in my backyard. So no, that is not an exotic desert thing either. So. Did
you see any cactus or cacti?
Yes, Joe. I saw a cactus.
Did you get pricked on a cactus?
A little bit. Yeah, I touched one just to see. I knew it was going to happen, but you got to touch one anyway.
Wait, so you intentionally got pricked?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Why would you do that? Are you some kind of masochist?
Masochist, yes. I like needles and stuff. And I don't know. I didn't like. I just kind of like. I was like, hey, how prickly is this one? It was pretty prickly. So.
Did you wipe your brow at some point and say, "Man, it's hot in this desert"?
Believe it or not, I don't sweat that much in deserts. It is one of those dry heat things. I really don't. Like, I sweat more when we got to the airport back in Chicago than I did, there the entire time we were in the desert, the entire time we were in Death Valley. Like that heat doesn't do it for me. Whereas like when I went to San Antonio that one time, many years ago, I went to San Antonio for a weekend. It was like some work thing. I don't know. I was a weekend, so I probably brought like 3 or 4 shirts. It was like a work conference thing. So I brought some polo shirts and then some, going out shirts with, later. I sweat through every one of my shirts within a half a day that I was there. It was fucking disgusting. So no, I didn't sweat that much and go, oh boy, it's hot out here. And oh my, like, as I take my hat off and fan myself. No, I didn't sweat too much when I was in the desert. So
did you lose weight trekking through the 120 degrees?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I wish.
I guarantee you lost weight. I guarantee you lost weight. So. Let me tell you something. If I knew I was going to the desert, which, by the way, I'm never going to go to the desert. But if I knew I was going to go to a desert, I would weigh myself before I went to the desert. And then I would get a calibrated scale and weigh myself when I returned from the desert. Because I would want to see how much weight I lost after suffering through the desert. Did you find the heat unbearable when you were in the desert?
Not at all. No, I love it.
Did you ever consider wearing garb like a sheik, like
no.
with the thing around your head and
like Lawrence of Arabia is what you're yeah. No, I did not ever
cool.
consider donning the Lawrence of Arabia outfit.
It keeps the heat off. It keeps the sun off your body, but it's light and airy.
Right.
So it doesn't. You don't burn, but it also keeps you cool. You didn't consider that.
I did not consider it. No, no.
I would have considered that. I think I would have considered, that whole getup, like General Adnan Al-Kaisi from the AWA, or who was the guy in Texas? The guy, Devastation Incorporated guy.
Right.
Yeah. World Class.
Oh, what the hell was his name? Shoot. Akbar, right?
Yeah, like
Skandar
Skandar
Akbar.
Akbar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I would have considered like one of those outfits if I was going to a desert.
Now that I would like to see. I'd actually really, really like to see Joe Lanza trekking in a desert in a Skandar Akbar outfit. Would be pretty cool, I think.
Chomp with the big cigar too.
Yeah, right. Just going like, god damn it, it's so hot.
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy it. It's way less unbearable than Texas is, because you have the humidity in Texas. That's what you have in Chicago too. That's unbearable. That fucking sucks.
Well, I also have scorpions and snakes.
Right, you have all these things. Right.
And I can find cactus if I drive 20 minutes.
So it was all that, but I had mountains and sand dunes and beautiful limestone, colored mountains. Like I was doing all that stuff. So it's like, yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever describe limestone as beautiful. I don't know. I think that's what separates you and me. I don't know. I think I'd look at the limestone and say, it's a fucking rock. What do you want from me? But did you encounter any? I'm not done with questions.
No, please go. Yeah, this is great.
Did you encounter any of those? Now follow me here. Like you see in a cartoon or like an old movie, did you encounter any of those like skulls with the horns on the skull?
Yeah. Like
just sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah, like a dead steer skull or whatever. No,
but just the skull, and then maybe there's a vulture pecking at it. Did you encounter any of that?
I saw vultures and gigantic fucking ravens, just the biggest ravens I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, we're gonna get to the birds.
Yeah, they're eating well. The birds are eating well, but no, I did not see the steer skull by itself. I did see some ghost towns, some very fun ghost towns in Death Valley, but no.
Wait, hold on, whoa! You can't blow through that. Like a legitimate ghost town, like abandoned in 1860.
Yes, yeah. There's quite a few of them.
What?
There. Yeah.
The buildings are still standing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's not like derelicts living in them or something?
So there's one town that we drove up to that I was positive derelicts lived in, so we didn't go to that one. So that was Trona, California, which I had no... I think Trona, California might be a real town still, but it appeared to be a ghost town. So that one looked like a great place to score heroin, so we went past that one. But there's Rhyolite, which is, I think that one's actually ran by like the national or Nevada state or something like that. But there's plenty of little ghost towns in there.
Wait a minute. Okay, no, hold on. I have more questions.
Yeah, please go.
So are these like tourist attractions where there's a guide and he'll say, "This used to be the saloon"?
No, because there is one of those. I've been to one of those. It's like called Calico or something like that, and that's one where it's like, howdy partner, welcome to Calico. Right. Like, this here's the bill. Like this. No, these are like legitimately just like people fucking left and they're just sitting there desolate.
Now
in the middle
keep your eye out for bandits. Like that
right
kind of
things.
Stuff.
And then a guy, the saloon door swings open and a guy in a big mustache goes out. Bam, 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 bam. Well,
and the sheriff has to come save you.
Right. Yes, I've been to those. It was not those. No, these are. You know me better than that. You think I would go to one of those towns? Get out of here.
It's like Westworld.
Yeah, get out of here.
But okay, so these are just legitimate towns along the path with legitimate abandoned buildings from like 1918 and people just decided, you know what?
There's no more gold. There's no more gold in this fucking town. Fuck this shit. Yeah. We're out of here. Yeah.
I don't want to live in the desert. There's scorpions and cacti.
they're
and it's
all
120 degrees.
I thought there'd be more gold. There isn't. We're good.
Right. I hear coyotes in the distance.
Right.
Fuck this. I'm going to San Francisco or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And then it's just the buildings are still there, like
Correct.
rickety wooden buildings.
Yeah, there's Ballarat. Ballarat was one of them we went to. That was pretty cool. Like I said, Trona, but that I think was a real town.
And there's like a sign over the door that says brothel, right? Like that's the kind of shit you encounter. Yeah,
it's great.
It's crazy. See, I would think that I would be afraid that they would be like inhabited by ne'er-do-wells at this point who are squatting, let's say.
That was certainly, but think about like if you were a ne'er-do-well, would you squat in the middle of the desert in a ghost town?
It's a good point.
Because what are you going to do?
That's probably the last place you want to squat, right?
That's why they're there, and that's why nobody touches them, and that's why they're just there forever, is because, like, you're going to squat in, like, a major town in an alley or whatever, because you can try to get money, you can try to get food, you can try to get shelter. What are you going to do in Ballarat instead of, eat a coyote? That's basically all you can do if you can hunt it,
So there were no trap houses. There were no trap houses in these ghost towns.
No tropical trap houses, no normal trap houses, no trap houses.
No trap houses to speak of. Okay. All right. That sounds terrifying. I mean, I think I'd like to maybe drive through something like that. I don't know if I'm getting out and taking a picture in front of, what used to be the inn, because I don't know what's going to come out of that building. It could be some kind of animal. As discussed, it could be some kind of person, very desperate human. I don't want anything to do with these ghost towns either. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself in the desert. I did not listen to the nurse's rebuttal yet on the Fired Up, but I will be sure to do that. She is well within her rights to fire back. So we'll see what she has to say.
Yeah, she was more upset that you invoked the name of Alex Honnold. That's her god and savior, Alex Honnold, and then forgot to mention that we went to Yosemite where Free Solo was filmed. That entire part, El Cap.
I don't remember
that the wall that he's climbing up. That's where we went. So she was very upset
she didn't attempt that, did she?
She did. Well, no, she went like 10 feet up on that wall and then came down. So that's
without the gimmicks. Was she had the gimmicks?
She was
attached?
Free soloing 10 feet up. 10 feet up is not very high, Joe. 10 feet
Absolute
up
maniac.
Right.
She's a maniac.
No, 10 feet up is not hard. She didn't go.
Nah, she's a maniac.
Do you understand what 10 feet is?
Listen, was she hanging off the edge of a cliff by a finger like that guy does?
No, she probably will.
Some of the shit that guy does. It's
crazy. Fucking insane. Yeah, she wants me to watch that movie, and I've watched like 10 seconds, and then I'm just like, I need to turn this off. I don't like this. Yeah, not a fan at all.
All right, spoiler alert, but like every 12 minutes in that movie, like he comes on screen and he goes, like some guy that just talked about him. Right? Like every 12 minutes they say, sadly, Jim fell off a mountain and died a week after. It's like everyone he knows falls off of these fucking mountains and dies. Right? What kind of hobby is this?
You're asking the wrong guy. I don't understand it at all either. So
it's insane. That's not a hobby. Like if every 12 minutes a wrestling podcaster died while
right, I don't think I would do this.
Right, that'd be it for me. Like that, no more wrestling Dontaku breakdowns. I'm sorry, I'd have to shut it all down. You know what I mean? Like everyone this man knows like dies in that fucking movie, and then he gets his girlfriend into climbing with him, which is a huge mistake because then she makes a mistake when they're up on the fucking mountain. And they fall, and they almost die.
Yeah, and he nearly kills her. Yeah, or she nearly kills him, I should say.
Yeah, and then he hurts his ankle, and it's like 2 weeks before he has to do the most dangerous free climbing expedition in the history of mankind. And he hurts his ankle because she screwed up because he's climbing up the side of a mountain with a novice, right? And then like some little kid asks him, "You make money doing this?" And he's like, "Eh." He's like, "I make the salary of like a bank manager." Which is a pretty nice salary, but not for hanging off the edge of a cliff. It's not enough money, Rich. I need more money than a bank manager salary if I'm going to be hanging off the edge of a cliff by a fingernail. So, anyway, that's more Alex Honnold. What's his last name again?
Alex Honnold. Honnold, I believe is how you pronounce it. So
absolute fucking sicko. Now, I got respect for that. That's kind of balls that I will never have. Okay? I'm the guy hopping back in the car if I hear a rattlesnake and I'm driving home.
Right.
So, listen, respect from that perspective, and it's an incredible what a human being can physically do. You'd never think a human being could physically do what this guy does, and with the whole sense of calm that he has about it. I mean, for people that don't know, he just climbs up the side of the fucking mountain with nothing.
No, it's large. It's a very large. I mean, having gone there, it is even larger than you would even like walking up to it and just looking up, and you're just like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, how could you walk up to this and go, yeah, I think I'm going to climb that by myself without any sort of gear or anything? That sounds perfect. Like climbing it up on any level whatsoever, given how large it is and how flat it's pretty remarkable. And then to get up there and look up, like I'm just thinking in my head, like, there's no way I'd do this hike to get up here and then go, all right, yeah, let's do this. Let's go all the way up this thing. It's just absolutely fucking insane. It ridiculous.
No, he's got a pocket full of baby powder and granola.
Right, a bag of granola. Yeah,
that's what he climbs up the mountain.
And the best part about it is, and I don't know if they mention it in the movie, but we did the hike down that he does. Like, so we did the one way up to the top of the mountain and then back down or whatever. After he does that climb, he has like a 5 mile just like grueling hike to get back to the ground. I'd get a fucking helicopter. You know what I mean? I'd say no. Give me a goddamn helicopter when I get up there. I just free soloed El Cap. Can
the helicopter that rescues all the climbers who can't make it up.
Right? Like I want that. I'm not going to do
that one to bring me back down.
5 to 8 mile hike after I've just got done doing something that no other human ever thought they could possibly do. Like fuck off. No, give me the goddamn helicopter.
Seriously, Google all of the people that are in that documentary, and they're all dead.
Most of them are dead. Yeah,
they're all dead. They've all fallen off of something. Like, he's going to die. That guy is going to die. He's going to fall off a mountain. Like, I hope the nurse and all of his fans have come to grips with that. You cannot, no one survives that hobby. There's no 98-year-old ex-free solo mountain. They don't exist. Like, he's going to fall off at some point. There's points in that climb where he has to literally jump and let go to get to the next. It's fucking.
I hate it. I get nervous thinking about that documentary, for God's sake. So, thankfully, I don't think the nurse is ever going to free solo anything. I think she's always going to at least have some sort of gear. But who fucking knows? Maybe she's got a death wish. That's
Yeah, but she invites death. Like she's one.
She
of these
really
people.
does. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, bring me the death. So who knows? Maybe she'll get into. But let's face it, she's not nearly the caliber of athlete who's going to be able to do that. So you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think so either. But.
I mean, come on.
She asked me, she was like, do you think I could do this? And I was like, no.
Yeah, no, you cannot do
this.
You
can't.
No.
Like, I'm trying to be supportive, but no, I can't. Like, I'm not going to win the NBA finals. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
no,
okay.
Yeah, I'm not even trying to rip her. All I'm saying is, like, this guy's like a superhuman. Like, he's not like you. He's not like any of us, like, right now, listening to this. He's like a different breed of human being to be able to do something like that. The strength involved and and let alone the agility and let alone that thing inside of you that doesn't like warn you that you're in danger. Right.
Like, well, and to kind of circle this back to wrestling, I always bring this up to people that will talk to me about wrestlers and that, why are wrestlers so weird and why are they so, and it's like, well, of course they're weird and different and unique or whatever, because no normal human being gets into this profession. Like I had a bunch of buddies that went into wrestling school and trained. I had most of them left after like a few weeks because it fucking hurts. And you're like, what am I doing this for? This is so stupid. Like, this is garbage. Like, you go to wrestling school, it hurts. And then your coach is like, all right, guys, I want you all on Friday to come to, this high school and set up the ring and wrestle and do all that. And it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, you're not going to get paid, but like, you got to do this and you have to do this for like a bunch of years. And then maybe at some point it'll work. So like, there's that. And then like, I had a buddy who actually got past that point and actually was doing shows and doing stuff. And then, you get the, hey, I got you a booking in North Dakota, so you're gonna have to go there on Friday and work, for $25 in North Dakota. And he's like, no, why would I do that? I have a job and a family. Like, why would I get in a car with 6 other dudes and drive to North Dakota or whatever? But that's what wrestling is. Like, you have to be a complete idiot to decide this is what I want to devote my life to. And that's what makes you really any profession. I mean, honestly, I guess what we're doing here, it makes, we always talk about with this podcast stuff, is you got to eat shit for years to get to where we got to. We had to do so many shows that nobody listened to. Yeah.
To get to where we got to, which is nowhere.
Yeah.
No. Do you want to calculate the hours that we've spent doing this? You want to do that and then figure out how many?
No,
because we can figure that out right now. I've got.
I would much rather not. Yeah, I would like to not do that.
Some people have that gene where they don't have fear, and some people have that gene where they waste years of their life talking about wrestling Dantaku and destruction from Bipu. I don't even know. I can't even come up with a reason why we do this. But to entertain the masses.
We love it. Oh, the entertain. Yeah.
We have to entertain the masses. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that. I mean, it just, the guy's a fucking world-class athlete. You can't be a commoner like us and be climbing up the side of that fucking mountain free solo. So I don't think you have to worry about that.
I don't think so. But are you done with your cross-examination? Because I now have a cross-examination for you whenever you're ready.
Oh, so. Okay. Well, I think okay. Let me have it.
So we flew into Las Vegas and immediately got the hell out of that town and drove into the desert, as you know. So
very, very odd decision.
Yeah.
But okay.
Well, don't worry. I made a much worse decision. On the way back, I decided, well, let's go and let's spend an entire day in Las Vegas. Our flight leaves on Sunday afternoon, so let's drive in on Saturday morning from California, from Yosemite. We're going to drive in from there, check into our hotel and enjoy all that Las Vegas has to offer us in this one day.
Sounds tremendous.
I gotta be honest, Joe. I don't know what you see in that city. When's the last time you've been to Las Vegas? Was it for your wedding?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how much has changed. I don't know how much is different. That city's atrocious. I cannot stand Las Vegas. I mean, I would rather be stranded in the fucking Badwater Basin, licking salt off the fucking ground while a coyote, stares at my corpse or my soon-to-be corpse. That town is ridiculously. I cannot even fathom how awful that town is. I don't get it. I don't get it. So I think I need you to sell me on it. Maybe not a cross-examination, but I need you to sell me on Las Vegas. Why do I want to go into it? First off, by the way, I don't know when you were there, was everybody smoking weed the entire time?
No.
Okay. They do now. So get used to that if you go to Las Vegas again. So I hope you like the smell of marijuana, because
listen, I'm not a man who has anything against the devil's lettuce. It may not be for me.
Okay.
But I didn't know you were on a war against drugs, Rich.
I'm not on a war against drugs. I'm on a war against the constant smell of marijuana everywhere you go in Las Vegas.
It's Nancy Reagan, everybody. I don't know what's happening.
I'm literally holding a box that has joints in it. Like this thing right now. You hear that? You hear that little thing has stuff in them. But no, I mean, like, eventually I don't want to smell it. Like, I close that box and I put it away. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just sniff it the entire day.
Sure.
Whereas in Las Vegas, it feels like that is the intended goal. Because everyone on the streets, everybody in every hallway, in every elevator is just smoking weed the entire time. It's a lot.
New one.
It's that I think is new. So I that's why I was curious when you got into Vegas. So that part.
You're telling me it smells like my garage.
Yes, right. It's your garage everywhere. Yes.
But did they legalize it or something in the interim?
I believe they did, and yeah, people just now have decided, well, I'm just going to smoke on the streets now.
We're going to do it on the street.
Right, or in the hallway. Like, I'm in the Mandalay Bay. I assume that when I go to the Mandalay Bay and I go to my room or I go into the fucking hallway, that I don't have to. It doesn't smell like Joe Lance's garage, and yet it smelled like Joe Lance's garage. So it was a little strange. But so anyway, you check into this hotel or whatever. The pool is fine. I cannot complain about the pool at the Mandalay Bay. Perfectly fine. Enjoyed it. Went to the wave pool. Got a very overpriced drink. Fantastic. Good stuff. Okay, whatever. The walking of the strip. Are you a strip walker, or do you just go to a place and that's your place for the entire weekend?
Do I strike you as a strip walker?
You don't.
Are you kidding me?
You pick a hotel that has everything in it. Yeah.
There's cabs every 5 feet. Why would I ever walk anywhere? I mean, what are we even talking about here? Of course I'm not a strip walker. Unless it's directly across the street or less than a block away. No. I'm hailing the cab. I'm going, and I'm not even doing it myself. I'm getting the dope at the little podium outside the door to get me a cab if there's not one sitting there. I'm in Vegas. You're taking care of me. I'm on vacation. So, no, I'm not a strip walker.
Okay.
Cannot say. Now, have I ever walked the strip? Of course I have, because sometimes you are with people who are like, let's walk the strip. And you're like, gosh, fucking Christ. All right, let's walk the
Yes, and I was that person that made that mistake, because that is the worst experience you could possibly ever have. You think it's the Las Vegas Strip. You look at everything down the line. You're thinking, oh man, we'll just like walk from this end to that end. We'll pass some place that we want to eat for food. Like, we're just going to do that. We're going to start here and end there and do all that sort of stuff. If you've never been to Las Vegas and never, quote, walked the strip or whatever, it is the most infuriating. Torture. It is absolutely torturous. So you walk a half a block, then you got to go up an escalator, and then you got to go through a fucking mall inside Circus or New York or whatever. You're like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's always the same stores. It's a fucking Hershey store, a Louis Vuitton store, it's just like terrible. You come out.
A random Walgreens.
There's always a Walgreens. Then you get down, then you have to go down an escalator.
Right.
Then you walk another half a block. Then you go
Over
up
a land
another
bridge.
escalator. Yeah, over a bridge.
Over
then,
a land bridge.
Yeah, then you enter another mall, and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I just want to get to MGM Grand. Like, it's right there.
No, it's awful. Yeah.
It's a fucking half a block away. Why did this take me 45 minutes to get to? It is just, oh my God, it is unbelievable. And then, yeah, it took us like 2 hours to get like halfway, and then we're just like, fuck this shit. This is so terrible. So.
Well, it's the optical illusion, too, because you're like, oh, I want to go to Paris. Oh, I could see it. It's right there.
Mhm.
That's a fucking 90-minute walk. Just because you could see it, it means nothing.
Right, and that's exactly where we went, too. Exactly where we got to.
Not just the distance, but like you're saying, the land bridges, the escalators, this way, because it's not just a straight walk either. Yeah, it's the worst. You absolutely have to have people drive you around. I mean, you just gotta. So yeah, no, I am not a strip walker. It's awful.
Yeah. So then we find a place to eat in the Paris. I think it was in the Paris casino or whatever. And it's under the Eiffel Tower. It's a very romantic thing. You're right next to an outdoor drink stand that's selling a plastic Eiffel Tower that you could put around your neck with a straw, so you don't actually have to move. You can, if you want to drink your daiquiri, all you have to do is bend your neck down slightly, and you can drink a daiquiri out of the plastic Eiffel Tower. So really, really romantic stuff. Right across the street is the mobile command police unit that they have there. Again, just another remarkably attractive, just a really romantic, unbelievable experience.
Which restaurant did you eat in Paris?
Nex, I think it was called.
Is it the one that has like the patio seating? And
yes, yeah.
You know who else ate there?
Joe Lanza?
No.
Damn it.
Nomi Malone and Crystal Connors in the Hollywood hit Showgirls.
Is that true? Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's where they have a scene in that restaurant.
Okay, well, there you go.
Sat at their table.
Maybe I'll have to go and watch that. So there you go.
What Rich is leaving out here is he was desperately asking me for restaurant recommendations.
There was not much open.
And I was like, okay, I've got a bunch of different places I could recommend. And every single one I checked was closed for COVID. So I think you're lucky you found a non-McDonald's restaurant that was just open, period. So
yeah, there are also the amount of chain restaurants in Las Vegas is pretty disdisappointing too.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't go there unless
you're... I know, but why are they there? Go away. Who wants that?
You want me to explain to you why? Because Las Vegas is no longer a town of debauchery. It's a family town, and people don't realize that.
I disagree. Go there now, I would say.
Well, in the middle of COVID, I don't know what's going on. But they built all of these shopping malls and like you said, all these fucking chain restaurants and the fucking M&M store and just the drastic change from 15 years ago, let alone what it must have been like in the heyday of the fucking Rat Pack. Okay, is people bring their fucking kids there. That was unheard of as little as 15 years ago. But now you bring your kids there, and you bring them to go fucking shopping, and you bring them to the M&M store, and you fucking they fall asleep at night, and then you go down and you fucking gamble, and mom and dad maybe pick up a girl and expand their horizons a little. But during the day, it's there's a lot of things to do with it. They're trying to, because listen, Vegas was not dying, but struggling there for a while. So they had to expand their horizons and try to attract different kinds of people there and whatnot. But I can only imagine what it's like right now in the middle of COVID, where a lot of people don't want to be there. And they're like, someone noted in our, we have Stud Muffin in the chat room. And I hope to God that's Joel Gertner. I really do.
I'm sure it is. Let's go on the premise that it is indeed Joel Gertner. So.
But Joel Gertner
he needs to now, Stud Muffin, if you're listening to this, you need to now cut, your next message needs to be in the Joel Gertner prose. You know what I mean? Like, we need that. So
here's what Stud Muffin had to say, and it's a good point. COVID made the economy shit in Vegas. Since there is less tourism, there are cheaper rooms, so you get a lot more lower class people. That's an excellent point as well. You make the rooms as cheap as possible. You're going to draw the flies. So I'm sure your experience wasn't good. I was just looking for restaurants for you, and none of them were open. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is there to do over there right now then if you're not gambling?
Smoke weed and walk the strip is all you can really do, I guess. Yeah. Because I'm not a big gambler either. So yeah, and the casinos weren't that full either. It was literally, I'm not kidding. It was people just walking around smoking, going to the day that we went there, they opened the clubs officially as well. So there was a few clubs we walked by that were just absolute ridiculously full, the entire lines out the door, all that sort of stuff. So
I'm sure everybody was well masked and full.
Oh yes, of course, yes, everybody. I'm sure that the club that I saw that had maybe 1,000 people in about the size of my house. I'm sure they were strictly enforcing mask policies there. So.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you. One day Sal Milano will ride again in Vegas. I guess it'll be my first trip there as a married man.
A married man. Yeah. Well, that's Well, technically, your last trip you were a married man.
Well, for half the trip, yeah. For half the trip, But I don't know. During normal times, I enjoy a nice Vegas trip. There's good restaurants, there's good food, not the fucking chains. You got to dig a little deeper. A little action. You got to enjoy the action, right? A little action. You stop off at the blackjack table.
Not me, yeah.
Right? You walk the strip. You look for girls.
No, you don't walk the strip. You just said don't walk the strip. I agree.
No,
don't walk
late
the
at
strip.
night. You got to go late at night.
Oh.
You look for girls.
I still have to climb up the fucking escalators. So.
Well, I've always said one of my favorite activities is late night discussions with the prostitutes, because the later you're out, they approach you. And I always start up conversations with them. I'm like, look, I'm not interested in what you're offering.
But I want to know about your life. Yeah, let's talk.
Yeah, exactly. And then I've had 3 or 4 excellent conversations with Vegas ladies of the night, just picking their brain, what their lives are like, what it's like to fucking work that city. It's interesting stuff. So,
well, and now there's a proliferation, definitely during the day and later, as the night goes on, of the women that walk around to get pictures taken with you. There's also the dudes. There's your bad cop guys that have abs or whatever. But there's so many more women that are just like bad cop, showgirl. Yeah. And they're all wearing thongs and one had just painted boobs, and it was and it's so hilarious because, you have this idea of what kind of guy is going to pay $10 to put his arm around 2 showgirls or whatever? But it's like they make so much money. It's
they kill it.
They kill it. It's so great because that at the end of the night they're like, God damn, dudes are so stupid. Like guys are such idiots. All we do is wear a bra and a thong, and these guys give us $20 to take a picture with us. They're so stupid. Men are so dumb.
Listen,
by the way, the guys were twiddling. They had their fake, fake handcuffs because they were the bad cops, Joe. You know what I mean? They were,
of course.
We saw them. They were leaning on a wall, spinning their fake handcuffs on their finger because no women wanted to take a picture with the dudes, but every dude wants to take a picture with a woman with painted with paint on her breasts. Like, could not wait. There was a line for the one girl. She had to give numbers. It was incredible.
You have never sounded more like a prude than you have right now.
I know, it's awesome. Well, no, I just find it hilarious. I love the idea that I mean,
I gotta tell you,
it's fantastic. I got a bunch of free looks. I'm good with what I did, but I just love the idea that these men are just so devoted to putting their arms around 2 women in a bikini.
Say, there's no way that you weren't taking a listen.
Oh, I took many looks. Are you kidding? Free looks all day, baby. $0 I spent.
There's no way you weren't checking out those cheeks.
The nurse was checking them out. She was going, wow, what an ass on that one. Holy shit. She wanted to go talk to her. That's what she does. She went, wow, look at that butt. Like,
well, I was like, Rich, she was that's like, what? The next step.
Okay, well, yeah.
You're one step closer. That's when you got to get the nurse out there at 2 a.m. and look for stragglers.
She doesn't.
You never know.
Awake. She doesn't stay
Vegas.
Awake. Yeah, she goes to sleep too early. That's 2 a.m.'s a tough call for the nurse.
Well,
the old nurse back in the day, the one that gets up at 5 a.m. No, that's a tough call to 2 a.m. these days. So,
well, you've definitely made yourself sound like a stuffier nerd than ever. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Take a bow.
Yes, I enjoyed mountains and desolate ghost towns more than I enjoyed breasts. Yes, that is breasts and weed.
Cheeks.
Yeah, ass cheeks and weed and breasts. Yes, I would much prefer good-looking limestone. Is what I was.
And the action of Vegas and everything else. No, you have no use for that. What you prefer is intentionally pricking yourself on a cactus.
Yes, indeed, correct. That was the bigger thrill than the beautiful women of Las Vegas. So,
and looking at butts, yeah. Which I don't know. Tomato, different people. I don't know what to tell you, but I gotta tell you that it doesn't sound like a very good town during COVID. That's for sure.
It was a little weird. Yeah, it was a little weird. One thing I will give up to Las Vegas, though, and one thing that is still fantastic about Las Vegas is that when the women go out in Las Vegas, the men to a lesser extent, most of the dudes just look like absolute fucking trash. You know what I mean? They're all just wearing like sweatpants, and some guys try. Some guys will wear slacks or whatever. But my God,
you definitely pack your button up. But
right, that's what I did. I wore the button up.
Yeah.
I wore the best pair of jeans I had. I didn't really go too much because we weren't going to go anywhere. But I wore the button up. I took a shower before I did my hair because there's a certain aura that you need to do. But I got to credit every woman that goes to Las Vegas. Congratulate you guys, look great. Every woman is out there just killing it on that night.
This is what I'm saying, Rich. It's incredible.
They bring their A game. Every single one of them just looked fantastic. It was just like bravo. Tall, short, big, whatever. It didn't matter what you looked like. What you were out there killing it last weekend in Las Vegas. So congratulations to you, women of Las Vegas. So,
yeah. Why do you think it's so great when you're single?
I can imagine. Yeah.
So, and the thing about Vegas is it's different than any other city on earth. You can just openly flirt like a maniac because it's expected.
Right.
You don't look like a douchebag. Like you walk by a slot machine and there's a hot girl by herself playing slots. It's totally socially acceptable to plop down right next to her and just blatantly hit on her because they know it's coming and it's expected. And, you get to do a little playful banter and you see where it goes. You can't do that in Minneapolis.
No, you're not welcomed.
You know what I mean? Like you can't just, mosey on up to every girl you see in fucking San Antonio and hit on them. Yeah, but in Las Vegas, you can not only do that, but it's expected and most of them want you to, because they're looking to get into some shit too. Or, not even necessarily to fuck, but just to flirt and have fun and, and then go back to their receptionist desk in fucking St. Paul on Monday, So
you're really hitting were you watching a lot of AWA this week or something? You're really hitting the Minnesota.
I've been really hitting the Minnesota references.
The Kanye territory is getting lit up.
I hit both Twin Cities.
Robbinsdale, you got Robbinsdale in there. Yeah. Both Twin Cities knocked out here real quick. So.
Prepare for some Miguel Sano takes later on in this.
I cannot wait. Yeah.
We should do some wrestling at some point.
I guess. Yeah, I guess a lot of things happened in wrestling while I was gone. So I suppose. Yeah, let's do it. You want to get into wrestling?
You don't sound too excited.
Yeah, no, actually, there's a lot of fun wrestling to talk about this week. So there's bad wrestling, too, to talk about, but there's some fun wrestling, too.
Well, what are the topics on hand, Rich?
So what we have, and I'll let you decide where we start. We have New Japan's Wrestling Dontaku, Night 1 and Night 2. I watched the semi-main event and the main event of Night 1. And the main event of Night 2, I've imagined you saw all of these shows, so I had to catch up pretty rapidly with a lot of stuff this week, so I was able to watch the whole shows, and it doesn't look like I missed a whole hell of a lot otherwise. So we'll have that. We're going to talk about the Wrestle Grand Slam at the Tokyo Dome, New Japan's ongoing COVID issues as well. We're going to talk about All Japan Pro Wrestling's Champion Carnival Final. I watched the semi-main and the main event of that, the Champion Carnival Final, as well as the great semi-main event. Daniel Bryan, will we get to make wild speculation about Daniel Bryan again and get upset all over again about what he's probably not going to do, but at least we have some new news on that front, some interesting news on that front. Dragongate's Dead or Alive show, that was just happened a few days ago, so we'll talk about that. We'll also preview, Joe, AAW's Take No Prisoners, which is Friday night. And Joe, I will be there live. My first live wrestling show since goddamn AEW Revolution 2020. A year and 3 months at this point that I have not been to a live wrestling show, and I cannot wait to go tomorrow to AEW Take No Prisoners. So,
yeah, which means we'll be talking about it next week too. But yeah, we said we'd talk about more indies. The Super 8 was this past weekend.
Yeah.
You watch that. Game Changer had another weekend with their
not watching that. I'm good
with their Jersey Championship Wrestling spinoff.
Good.
I did watch that.
Yeah, cool.
I saw some of that. AAA Rey de Reyes was this week. So listen, I'm not saying that there's definitely going to be an overrun, but there might be an overrun to this show. There might be an overrun.
Now, if I were to want to listen to this potential overrun that you're mentioning here, how can I go about doing that?
Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling,
okay.
$5 tier.
Okay.
$5 tier gets you the overrun. $10 tier gets you everything we do, including all the live content and all the on-demand streams of the live content. Rich, did you watch Keiji Muto against Masa Kitamiya?
I did not. I did not see that one. That was on my to-do list, but I did not see that one, no.
Did you watch Ironhead Fujita against Takashi Sagura.
No, I did not.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, from the Noah show.
So no, I didn't see any Noah. Yeah, I forgot that Noah actually even happened. There was a lot of other stuff going on, so I did not catch Noah. Sorry.
Did you watch Roman Reigns take on Daniel Bryan on Friday Night SmackDown?
I did not. I wanted to, actually. But then a lot of the reviews that I saw had the thing that would probably annoy me about the commercials, so I ended up not watching that match. So.
Speaking of reviews of that match and the other two matches I mentioned, if you were a $10 subscriber...
Did I just fall into a bit here?
To
Did I just fall into a plug? Oh, my God.
Patreon.com/Voice of Wrestling. If you are a $10 subscriber, you also get access to all of my written content. And I just so happen to do a new batch of Lanza written reviews, and all three of those matches are reviewed in excruciating detail with the exclusive star ratings attached as well. So the other two matches reviewed were Volador Jr. versus Bandito, the hyped match from CMLL in March, and a Bryan Keith Lee Moriarty match from New Texas Pro Wrestling. So that's the $10 tier. You could read reviews to those 5 big matches. I will tell you this. Out of those 5 matches, I went notebook on 3 of them.
Okay, that's good.
You want to try to guess which ones? I'm not going to tell you.
All right, so notebook. I have not read these. So notebook ones, I will say Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns was notebook.
Okay.
I would...
We'll make this a Price is Right game, and I'll tell you how many you got right when you're done.
Okay.
Then we'll end it.
Okay. I cannot imagine Keiji Muto got to notebook
against Masa Kitamiya.
Yeah, I can't imagine that was the case. So I would guess that did not make the notebook. And what was the other two matches?
Okay, the other
I guess
matches
the other
were...
Noah match too. I'm guessing Fujita versus Sagura didn't,
Sagura.
But maybe it did. Sagura is a fantastic wrestler, so maybe. But
the other two matches were Volador Jr. versus Bandito.
Okay. That made notebook for sure.
Okay, and Bryan Keith versus Lee Moriarty.
That's a tough one, but I guess by virtue, I would say that one also made nope.
So you're going with
Roman?
Hold
on, no. Okay, so Roman, I'm definitely doing Roman. So you said 3 made it, right?
3 notebook matches, yeah.
3. So 5. Roman and Daniel is a for sure.
Okay.
Definitely Volador Jr. and Bandito.
Okay.
And you know what? Sagura is pretty awesome. I'm going to say Fujita and Sagura got to that level.
You got 2 right.
Okay.
You got 2 right. One of those matches you named, I did not go notebook with. So if you want to know, listener, which of those 3 matches I went notebook with, complete with very extensive reviews for all 5, $10 tier, voicewrestling.com/Patreon. So that's where you can get that review of Noah the Glory 2021, at least the top 2. But yeah, so I guess that's a good transition into Daniel Bryan. Want to do this Daniel Bryan talk?
Yeah, let's talk about this. We did this a few weeks ago, but we'll do it again. So anyway, this week... You
don't seem too excited about it.
I mean, it's just the same stuff over and over again. It's the same thing that we said a few weeks ago. It's like put up or shut up at this point. I'll believe it when I see it. But anyway, Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful had the news earlier this week that nobody was really talking about this, but Daniel Bryan's deal expired or was set to expire. That was kind of the terminology, quote, expired or was set to expire after the match with Roman Reigns on Friday Night SmackDown. I think Dave Meltzer said that it expired at midnight on Friday after SmackDown. So presumably Daniel Bryan is a free agent and he's able to sign or go wherever he wants at this point right now. And I guess now is our time for wild speculation, but I'm the same way that I won't believe that he's going to actually put his money where his mouth is unless he actually goes and does it. You know what I mean? Like, so my guess is that he's probably just going to re-sign with WWE and bitch and moan and make a bunch of interviews about some awesome matches that he wants to have all across the world or whatever. Where at the same time he's just doing bullshit on SmackDown or Raw or whatever the hell. So I don't know. We'll see. Or he's doing NXT. Maybe he says, oh no, I'm on NXT now, and it just stuff like that is probably my assumption of what we're going to get with Daniel Bryan. But hey, you know what? If he ended up, and if he said fuck it and became a world traveler and bounced all over the indies and did all this sort of stuff and went to the highest bidder or went to AEW or went to New Japan or whatever, that'd be fucking fantastic. I mean, it's obviously Bryan Danielson. How would I not be happy about that? But I'm not going to get my hopes up again about this. So when it happens, I will be excited. But until then, I'll be cautiously pessimistic.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect him to leave at this point because we've been down this road before. Now, look, if you want to give the people some hope, I've got some little shreds of evidence and little pieces of possible clues. Do you want to give the listeners a little hope here if maybe they're hoping that he walks out?
I do, because I think I need a little hope too. I think I need a little hope too. So yeah, try to help me and the listeners here. Okay,
now he did say in an interview that he is loyal to WWE because they've been good to him and good to his family. So, but in that same interview, he also said that he was desperately trying to work something out with them, which would allow him to take matches outside of the company, which tells you that he does have a legitimate hunger to do some things outside of the walls of WWE. So that's a positive, I would say, if you're hoping that he goes, because I do think at this point they'll do everything in their power, meaning WWE, to keep him away from AEW, because I think he's absolutely a difference maker for AEW. He would be an enormous ratings draw. He would be a pay-per-view draw. I have full confidence that he would be booked properly. And I don't think WWE, well, I know for a fact they don't want him there. Okay. The thing about wrestlers is they have different value to different places. I think Daniel Bryan is way more valuable to AEW than he is to WWE. I don't think he means anything in WWE anymore. I really don't. He had that match against Roman Reigns with all that was on the line, banned from SmackDown forever, wrestling the world champion. And I know it was going up against the NFL draft, but it was the second night of the NFL draft. Still did big numbers, but that did a terrible number. And it's just, people didn't buy into the stipulation, but I also think I don't think Daniel Bryan means a whole ton in WWE anymore, just by virtue of the way he's been booked over the years. And he's still incredibly popular, but people don't believe in his character. And why would they? The way that he's been booked. But I think he would mean an enormous amount to AEW. I think their fan base would eat it up. I think he would draw new eyeballs. I think he would do great on pay-per-view. I think he would be a legitimate drawing star for TV, and I don't think WWE wants any part of that. So will they bend their rules and allow him to work elsewhere while under WWE contract, which is something that he seems to want a lot? I don't know, because then that opens up the door for other people to ask for that.
And that was going to be my exact rebuttal there, is that when you do it for him and yes, he's a special talent and it's Daniel Bryan or whatever, but in the pantheon of WWE, how special is it? You know what I mean? Like, if you do that for him, there's a lot of other guys that are probably going to say, well, hold on a minute. You know what? I wouldn't mind doing this, or I wouldn't mind doing that. And it's just never been that company's MO. That company is not very interested in allowing talent to do it for a multitude of reasons. Not only the injury risk and the inherent risk of, doing matches outside of their bubble and all outside of their stuff or whatever, but it's just that's the way that they are. They've always just kind of been that way. The only time they will really let a talent go somewhere else and do something is if there's a lot in it for them that, hey, okay, this guy is going to go wrestle in this company, and usually that's an omen for, we're helping this company, we're going to buy this company, we're going to bleed this company dry, that type of stuff. So when you have guys working in various UK areas, the obvious thing was, okay, well, at some point WWE is just going to fucking buy up Progress or do whatever the hell they're going to do with Progress,
Evolve.
and or Evolve, same deal, where it's like, oh well, the writing is on the wall, we know what's happening here, and the end result is, we're not just giving talent to Evolve just to say, hey, Evolve, here you go, guys. Here's Adam Cole. Have fun with Adam Cole. Enjoy him. We don't care. We're just glad you guys have him. Like, the end goal is to suck it dry or steal the talent or buy it or whatever. Because that's been their MO for 30 years. As far back as you want to go to the early days of WWF and the early days of Vince McMahon and him, hey, no, we want to focus, we want to showcase your talent in your area. And it's just, thank you for Junkyard Dog. We're good now. Thanks, bye. We're going to buy him up and now you're dead. So, that's just is kind of, what their MO has always been. So I just don't see them doing that with Daniel Bryan, because it's just, it completely deviates from anything they've done over the last 30 years. And now with that being said, or last 30, 40 years, basically, with that being said, does Daniel Bryan have the leverage to do that because he's Daniel Bryan and because that company is smart enough to realize what an asset he would be to an AEW? Do they then, because this is now the best time to ask for that. There's never been a better time to say, hey, this is what I want, and you're going to give it to me or else I'm going there.
No, he has all the leverage in the world from that standpoint. But my whole thing is, because I think they see it the same as me. I don't think they see a ton of value in him. They don't push him. He's there to put people over. He has openly stated publicly that his job is to put people over now. The only reason he was in the Mania main event was to save it because Edge was such a flop. They don't push the guy. So are you going to open that door and give this guy that kind of contract, which then opens the doors for those kinds of contracts, when it's not even someone that's about to turn 40 who you don't even plan on pushing, who isn't really a difference maker for you anymore? I don't know if they're going to do that. You know who will do that? AEW will do that. They'll give him that kind of contract in a second. They have a half a dozen guys on the roster with that kind of, Moxley, Omega, and whoever else, they're willing to do those kinds of deals. So he can get that elsewhere. Here's the other little clue. He had said also in a public interview that the night of his WrestleMania main event, he felt nothing. Wrestled his match, felt nothing. Finished his match, and felt nothing. This is a guy emotionally detached from that company. Because if you can't get up for a WrestleMania main event, if you feel nothing for a WrestleMania main event, and really in that company, that's the last thing they have to offer people. The big WrestleMania moment, the biggest stage possible. He has openly admitted that he felt nothing.
Yeah.
Empty. And why wouldn't he? We all feel the same. You know what I mean? We feel empty and nothing when we watch these WWE shows. That it's like, to me, that tells me, now hold on a second. He's not even emotionally attached to the idea of working the biggest match possible, which is a WrestleMania main event. And this is a guy who, we think over the years has at least partially been driven by emotion and all these things, even though he took the bag last time. So maybe he wants to feel something again. And he's not feeling anything in that company. So that's another small clue if people are looking for hope. Maybe he wants these final days of his wrestling career to feel something again and to love what he's doing. Because he didn't love what he did at WrestleMania. And he's just a guy putting people over the rest of the time, which I'm sure he enjoys doing. I mean, he tried putting over Drew Gulak and he tries putting over his buddies and it never seems to work out. But maybe, he finally sees this as the time where, okay, this might be my last chance. Because if I sign on for another 3 years or 5 years, I'm not going to have a chance when I'm 45 years old to go somewhere else and feel something again. So I thought that was a small clue, too, that he might really be thinking about it this time. But, again, I don't think we're going to see him leave. But if you're looking for slivers of hope, if you want to see him leave, I think that's the way you got to look at it. But here's the thing. If he does stay, okay, it's because that's where he wants to be. Because he can make a shit ton of money. It won't be about the money. And a lot of people with bad opinions and a lot of people who are ill-informed will tell you it's about the money. And it'll tell you that, he's got children to feed and all of this and that. And we all know that's nonsense. It won't be about the money because he can get 7 figures from AEW and then a shit ton of money from your New Japans and your Ring of Honors, and he can name his price on indie dates, and he'll make a difference at the gate for these indie shows, once we're past COVID. Don't think he won't. And he'll make a difference in AEW. And I think if he went to New Japan and worked a G1 tour, he'd make a difference in New Japan World subscriptions. Yeah. I really think he would.
He'd have a Pro Wrestling Tees store up in 10 minutes and sell 10,000 t-shirts. You know what I mean? Get out of here, idiots.
Let alone the 7-figure deal he's going to get from Tony Khan.
Right, yeah.
Do people think that the Big Show and Christian jumped from one promotion to the other for $50. I mean, what
with their hat in hand, please, Mr. Tony, please put some money in my hat. Yeah.
Christian just desired wrestling Kazarian so much that he was, of course these are millionaires still making millions. That's what this, he's paying these guys.
And like we've always stated with Daniel Bryan, he is a guy who still drives his fucking 94 Camry or whatever the hell, and he's got a millionaire wife. He could literally he could just say, you know what, guys, I'd really, honestly, truly just want to wrestle for the love. Don't pay me a dime, pay the other wrestlers a dime, and he'd be fine forever.
Yeah, but my point is, even if it is right. Even if it is about the money for him, he can still get the money.
Right. So if that is one of the motivations, this is the best time to do this. And also, like you said, he'd be the hottest commodity anywhere, so he could
he could name his price.
Right. I mean, we're going to talk about AAW in a little bit. You don't think AAW would look and hope and pray and dig in their fucking coffers to find any amount of money? If he said, "Hey, I'll work here for X," you don't think that they would say, "Well, fuck, God damn, we got it's Bryan Danielson. It's like the first chance to book Bryan Danielson." Like, you don't think Ring of Honor said that. I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago. Ring of Honor said on record that they had the money set aside, that they asked Sinclair and they got approval that if Bryan Danielson wanted to return to Ring of Honor, they could sign him for the money that he desired. They got that money. That was the last time.
Yeah, and they had a deal, and he was gonna go. But then he got wrapped up in the legality bullshit that they convinced him that he had to stay, and he stayed. But he was thinking about going, and he was going to go to Ring of Honor last time. And don't think they wouldn't have an offer on the table, too. That's the other thing. People think Ring of Honor... what do you think they're paying Roosh? You think they're paying Roosh with hot dogs?
Yeah, 4 hot dogs and $100 bills and a hot dog is what Roosh gets to, go to fucking Mexico. Yeah. You think all of his fucking friends are joining him, and his entire family and all of his friends are there because they also want to make a hot dog and $50. You know
what do you think they were paying Marty Scurll? What do you think they're paying these people? I mean, the money's out there, So this is why I say if he ends up staying, it's because that's where he wants to be. He's going to go where he wants to be. It's not going to be a money decision because he can get money anywhere. Okay. Yes, WWE can. They can pay him the most. They're $1 billion corporation. If they really wanted to, they can outbid any offer he gets, but he can get huge money anywhere. He's going to end up where he wants to be. So, if he wants to be there, he'll stay. If he doesn't want to be there, if he really wants to go out and do other things, then he'll end up wherever he ends up. But I really feel like that WrestleMania quote was very telling. So, if he felt dead inside for that, or I guess that wasn't his terminology was he felt nothing.
He felt nothing. Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, like I don't want to try to tell somebody what to do, but if I was ever in that position, like I'm of that mindset. I that's always been my thing, and I've had jobs before where I felt that way, or I've had things that I've done where I felt that way. And I've gotten rid of all of it because there's just no use in life. And this is kind of my life advice, and I think you would probably say the same as well. If there's ever something that you do that you do it, but you have no feeling for it whatsoever, you feel nothing, you get nothing out of it, you get no satisfaction out of it, that's just not that is just not something that I ever want to be involved in. So yeah, if I'm Daniel Bryan, like if that's true, and I really truly do believe that, then I definitely seek alternative. I mean, especially with something that presumably you do still love or at some point did love. You should never do it where you're at that point where you're feeling nothing while you're doing it. It's a terrible way to go through life.
Yeah, and people are making Dave Meltzer made some cryptic comment about how he feels like in 30 years he'll be talking about this Daniel Bryan situation on Dark Side of the Ring. And people were like, what the fuck does that mean? And Alex613 in the chat room makes a good point because he sees it, or she, I guess Alex could be female, right?
Yeah, of course.
So Alex, not trying to misgender you. You could be either one. It's a multi-sexual name. But Alex613 says that, and I saw it the same way Alex did. This morning, Meltzer compared the Bryan situation to Pillman working Bischoff into releasing him from WCW. And that's exactly how I saw it.
Yeah,
I didn't think Meltzer was mentioning it because something bad is going to happen to Daniel
Brie
Bryan.
Bella's going to kill herself, or Daniel Bryan's going to wreck his Humvee or whatever. Yeah, that's.
They were just talking about Pillman when he made that comment.
Right.
Bryan and Dave. So I was like, whoa, is Daniel Bryan playing three-dimensional chess here? And somehow found a way to get the contract to run out and is, now going to, because that's how I took it by the way Meltzer's tone was. Because Meltzer's tone was like kind of smarmy, like he knows something that you don't know. But he kept saying, I don't know anything. But I think I think that's sort of what he was hinting at. Like, okay, he found a way to finally escape. Because last time he was considering leaving, but the company convinced him he couldn't for whatever legal reasons they had with the injuries and the doctors and whatnot. And ultimately he stayed. So, look, again, I stress, I believe he's staying. But if people are looking for hope, these are little things that you may be able to cling to. So, I guess we'll see. I mean, technically, just like Andrade, he could walk into any wrestling ring in the world tomorrow, free and clear. He could have showed up on Dynamite last night. Nothing anyone could do to stop him. So, look, he's got all the leverage in the world, just like Andrade did, but he has even more because he's a bigger star. So you have a guy with enormous amounts of leverage. He needs to sit home and let everyone wage war against each other and take the best offer for him, whether it's the most money that he's looking for or whether it's a big enough sum of money that also affords him the opportunities to do the things that he wants.
Yeah, and so now my question to you, and then we'll kind of move on to other topics. If there was one spot that you could, what, or it doesn't necessarily have to be one spot, but what scenario would you most like to see Bryan Danielson enter? What in a year's time, when we're looking back at this a year later, like what is your hope that he has done over the last year?
Oh,
you're pie in the sky. Like you're absolutely you're the one that you're most looking forward to if you.
Oh, it's so easy. It's a simple answer. I would like to see him be an AEW contracted wrestler with the freedom to work anywhere he pleases, the way Moxley does. That's the best case scenario as a fan. Absolutely. It's the hot promotion. Just thinking about him there is just there's a million. He'd be tremendous on Dynamite, and he would have the freedom to work New Japan, Mexico. ROH still has a relationship with them if he wanted to do something in that direction. I mean, that's ultimately what I would want him to do. If I'm him and my goal is to get the most money possible, I get my offer from Tony Khan. I call Vince McMahon. I say, give me $1 more, and I re-sign with WWE because WWE will do that. They'll top any offer to keep him. Okay? To keep him away from AEW. If my goal is to do some things before I have to pack it in and finish retiring, then I take the big bag from Tony and I make sure that I get that Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho deal. So, but no one knows what his motivations are other than him. What do I want to see him do? Contracted AEW wrestler with the freedom to work elsewhere. From a fan perspective, how can anyone pick any other option? Right.
No, and I would say the only other option that I would say, because that's probably my top option, but the one that I like as well is, even if he doesn't go to AEW, even if for whatever reason he avoids AEW and just says, I'm just not interested in being with any one company or whatever, just traveling superstar Bryan Danielson sounds pretty awesome too. Like, that doesn't make the most financial sense, but the guy that can just literally decide every single, month where he wants to go, where he wants to be. I'll do Mexico this week, or, I'll go to Japan for a tour, or, I'll go to Europe, or I'll do this, or, hey, I'll do the American Indies. I'll do a little tour around that. Like
I'm
that.
Doing Bola.
That honestly, I kind of like that too, because that just to me feels the most like classic Bryan Danielson, where like he would just work some dumb indie just because he wants to, just to say, you know what, I worked it, because that's the old Bryan. The old Bryan Danielson would work anywhere, wherever. It didn't matter. The man just wanted to wrestle because he loved wrestling, and I kind of like that aspect of it too. That doesn't make the most financial sense. It's not the most stable, but it to me, that if he's going to go out, that's a really cool way to go out too, where he just calls his own shots 100% of the time, and you know what, maybe he does a month with AEW just because he fucking feels like it, but then Bola's coming up, I want to do Bola, so I'm going to go to PWG, or you know what, hey, I'll do some the Midwest Indies for a month or so, just to kind of hang around and do that sort of stuff. That I really like as well. Does Mexico, does all those matches that he said in Mexico, like the completely unchained, not locked down by any contract or anything, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. I like that aspect of it too. So that's probably my first one is obviously the AEW one that you said, that can go to New Japan, it can go to Ring of Honor and do all that sort of stuff. But I do enjoy traveling superstar Bryan Danielson too. I think that's pretty pretty great. And the Swink says his GCW debut against Jordan Oliver, dear God. But maybe, maybe. Like, but yeah, maybe he watches Lee Moriarty and goes, I would like to wrestle him. All right, where are you working?
I'm sure he would like to wrestle him.
Yeah, like, where are you working this weekend, Lee? I'll come work with you. It's like, oh, okay. Calls the promoter and says, hey, I'm coming, so pay me whatever. I'm just coming to this show. And it's like, oh, okay. Cool.
I mean, if GCW booked him, they would book him with Jordan Oliver and totally blow it. I mean, I have no question that that's what they would do.
He'd be in a scramble. He'd be in a scramble.
There's like 5
Eat It Surreal versus Bryan Danielson. Yeah.
Oh my God, how awful!
Technical masterpiece.
There's like 5 indie wrestlers that I want to see him wrestle, and one of them's Davey Richards. So what does that tell you?
Right. A readily available match that you can watch. They wrestled a bunch of times, right? If I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, they've wrestled before. Yeah. I think they wrestled before.
I'm not looking that up. I'm not, in my head, I'm thinking they obviously wrestled each other.
I feel like they would have, but I can't.
Definitely did. But where? I'm trying to remember. Maybe in like Noah.
Well, they wrestled in Ring of Honor for sure.
Oh yeah, there was that Final Countdown show that they wrestled on. I remember that one. So,
let's see if they wrestled anywhere else. I got it pulled up here.
So okay. Oh, PWG. I got it too. So they did wrestle in Ring of Honor. The Final Countdown. That one was in September. I do remember that one. September 2009. PWG in 2008. And then some matches that I need to go back and watch, some Noah matches. Bryan Danielson and Davey Richards versus Kento Miyahara and Naomichi Marufuji. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was thinking singles, but they've probably wrestled a billion times in Noah and Ring of Honor and tags.
This is great. Yeah. Late career Davey and late career Bryan Danielson sounds awesome.
So how many singles have they had? Just the Ring of Honor and
singles,
PWG?
Singles, there is 4. There's an FIP heavyweight title match from the Sumter County Fairgrounds in Bushnell, Florida.
Give me a year on that.
That is 2006. That is October 2006. Then
I'm liking that.
December 2006, FIP title number 1 contendership. They went from fighting for the title to fighting for the number 1 contendership 2 months later. David Richards versus Bryan Danielson there. PWG Battle of Los Angeles 2008 first round. Bryan Danielson defeats Davey Richards 21 minutes. And then the probably the most famous one that everybody knows about, the ROH Final Countdown Tour. Davey Richards defeats Bryan Danielson that was September of 2009. So
that's like
that's awesome. Yeah, that entire tour was fantastic. I was lucky to be there for one of the Bryan Danielson Final Countdown Tour things, and that was fucking just what a moment. Just incredible to be there as Final Countdown's blaring and everybody in the crowd is just screaming and cheering, and it's pretty awesome. That guy was incredible. So
Moriarty would be a great match. Daniel Garcia would be a out of this world match. Those guys are that is a perfect matchup for Daniel Bryan.
Oh yeah.
Daniel Garcia. There's probably a couple I'm forgetting, but those are the 3 that would jump out at me immediately as guys I'd like to see him wrestle. I don't think he's ever wrestled ACH. That could be fun.
I don't think he would ever cross paths with him.
When would they have crossed paths?
ACH had been 17 when the last time they would have potentially even done that. Yeah, I don't think there's any possible way that he's faced ACH. So Fred Yehai, that sounds like an awesome match already between those two. Are you kidding?
Excellent. Yeah. The thing about it is I always forget about Yehai.
Everybody does. Yeah.
When I bring up guys, that's never on purpose, because I think he's definitely one of the top guys on the scene.
He's weirdly anonymous. We'll talk about it during the AAW thing. Like, he's weirdly anonymous. Like, I don't know if it's that he doesn't want the bookings, that nobody knows whether to book him, but sometimes a company will just book him for like a half a year, and you're like, yeah, Freddie Ahai's great. Like, more people should book him, and then you won't hear from Freddie Ahai for like a year, and then you'll forget that he exists, and then another.
You know why you forget about him too? Because he doesn't work the GCW shows or the GCW adjacent shows, and he doesn't really work the IWTV loop either. And those are the 2 most high profile sort of indie shows that are always streaming, and he doesn't really work. I mean, so you forget he exists, but he's really great. I mean, he's definitely one of the top guys in the scene for sure. And then, a lot of the other top guys in the scene just aren't great style wise matchups for Daniel Bryan. Like, something like Daniel Bryan, Mance Warner, it's just not. Nah. It's like not a style. It's a style thing, Daniel Bryan, Nick Gage. I guess on paper.
Hold on a minute. I'm in. Actually,
on paper that looks interesting.
That
right?
sounds actually awesome. Yeah, the match would suck, but God, that'd be interesting to talk about. Yeah.
I mean, it would be more of, is Daniel Bryan willing to bleed? and I don't know if he wants to do that.
That'd be pretty sweet too. That he just comes out and he just wants to do. He's just John Ma. You know what I mean? He just wants to live out his fucking career. He's like, you know what? Fuck it, let's do it.
That match would draw.
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome.
Don't get me wrong, but I just don't know what the fuck it would look like.
No, it'd be really, really weird. Yeah.
But there's some matches out there. But we talked about this with Davey. It's like the weirdest and weakest scene for a guy like that to enter right now. But yeah, he could, obviously call his shots if he wanted to do some indies, but we'll see what happens. I don't have my hopes up. The worst case scenario as a fan is he re-signs with WWE, because then, what did he do that was remotely interesting on this latest run?
Oh my God. Do you remember? We did an entire show laughing at the dorks that would just get in our replies and just list 1,000 dream matches that Daniel Bryan was going to have in WWE. Oh, he can face Ciampa, and he can face Gargano, and he can face Kyle O'Reilly, and he can face, and it was just for days upon days upon days when we were disappointed. We said, all right, well, he just I can't believe he signed there. What a waste. He's wasting the twilight of his career or whatever. And oh my God, the replies. I wish we could go one by one. We if I had time and if I was petty and this was like 2014 Flagship, we would go tweet by tweet, call that person out and call him a doofus. But there was too many of them because we're too big now and we just can't do it anymore. But it was a never-ending stream. And what was it, 2014 or whatever, 2018 or whatever it was, of people telling us, no, you guys, he can now face this guy and this guy and this guy. And it's like, he was there. He could have already done that and they never did it. Like, what makes you think now all of a sudden that he re-signed that they're going to go, okay, all right, now let's do this with Daniel Bryan? And they did none of it. Immediately, what did he do the first thing he re-signed, and what was the first thing he got involved in, Joe? Do you even remember?
That would be W. Morrissey.
Yeah, right. Oh, right. I forget his name's W. Morrissey. Now, what the fuck? Yeah, yes. Colin Cassidy. He gets involved in a feud with Colin Cassidy, who calls him short. And it's just like, thank you. We knew it. I was so glad they didn't even try to even for a month lie to us and say, okay, no, let's get serious with it. They immediately told you he's short and he's in a feud with Colin Cassidy. It's like, all right, perfect. We got it. We already understand that this is what the entire run's going to be. And then you had the guy who comes back from injury and is so bored and gets so little done with him that he has to turn heel. After years of people clamoring for this man to just wrestle, he has to turn heel, and he has an okay run there. He has the Kofi match at WrestleMania that was very, very good, and he has a bunch of stuff there. But yeah, he did nothing. We're talking 3 years here.
The Kofi thing.
We're talking Kofi thing. That was 2.5 years ago.
The Kofi match is the only thing anyone will remember or care about or go back and watch on this entire run.
The entire run. You cannot waste 3 years of Daniel Bryan's career, and that's all you have. Like that is. It is such an indictment on how terrible that company is that they had to turn him heel a couple months into his return when he was the hottest thing in wrestling when he announced he was coming back. You come out of the gate with Big Cass, and then you have to turn, and then the guy begs to turn heel. He had to lobby to turn heel because it was going nowhere. This is what I'm saying. They're not rich. They're not interested in him. They're not interested in pushing him. Okay? They're just interested in keeping him away. Okay? They weren't interested in pushing him when he was 30. They're not interested in pushing him when he's 40. So, that would be the least interesting option for a fan, because look at the last run, which wasn't interesting, and this one would be even less interesting because he's older, and the older you get, in theory, the less interested they are in you. But, these days it's almost an advantage to be. But the thing is, he's not like, Vince doesn't view him as a superstar from the past like he does someone like Edge. He views him as this guy who was like a nuisance who he had to push because he kept getting over stronger than his level of push. Whereas he sees these other old guys as, as stars from the past. That's not how he views Daniel Bryan, and that's not how an older Daniel Bryan would be viewed. So, yeah, whatever. Why would you ever want to see him go back? Yeah, the worst thing that anybody. There's just no. I don't respect your wrestling opinions if you think that the best route or the route that you would want or the route that you're choosing is for him to go to WWE. It's just
There's people saying like, oh, but when he's older, then they push all but the dynamic's different with him.
No, he's not.
He's not viewed as the right.
They've never ever liked him. They've never wanted to push him. Jesus Christ, he entered the company and they had Michael Cole call him a virgin for a year and a half. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like this dork, what a fucking virgin. And then he gets over and they spend the entire time trying to turn him heel while he's over. And then he gets over and then they put him in the fucking Wyatt family. And then he gets over and they say, fuck it, fine, put him in WrestleMania. And then he enters in a feud with Kane, and then he gets hurt, and then they go out of their way to not clear him and do everything they can to use him as an example in a concussion lawsuit, and then he finally comes back, and then he gets in a feud with Colin Cassidy, and they call him short, and then here we are.
His 3 WrestleMania main events were all accidents,
right? Because they had no other choice.
They had to put him in the Orton Batista match, or fans would have revolted. Okay, they had to put him in the
after spending 6 months trying like hell to make you not cheer him anymore. He got remember the endless stream of pay-per-views where he got fucked over and fucked over and fucked over, and then he fucking joined the Wyatt family. They
tried everything. They had to put him in this year's match because Edge was such a flop, so they had to put him in that one. And the Kofi match, Kofi was an accident. It was supposed to be Mustafa Ali in the fucking Elimination Chamber match. Kofi wasn't even in, and then Kofi got over again by nothing the company did. Kofi got over because the fans just fucking decided to pick him. And that match was a fucking accident. So it's like they never were solidly behind. Look, they didn't treat him like a full-on mid-carder for his entire run. He was treated like a main eventer or what, but he was never a guy who they thought, we're going to build the company or even a brand around this guy long term. He was never
right.
That.
So he's not Batista, he's not Edge, he's not Orton, he's not any of those guys that they've all at some point gotten behind all the way fully 100%. So yeah, I'll buy that. Like, older guys that come back that were stars that they're going to push, but they never liked it.
They don't view him like that,
right? They don't ever see him as that guy.
Let this one sink in. This is a fact. They got behind Jinder Mahal stronger than they ever got behind Daniel Bryan on purpose. I mean, it's the truth. They wanted Jinder Mahal to happen. They never wanted Daniel Bryan to happen. I think that's a great way to end the segment.
Absolutely. There it is. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll see what happens. But you want to go to Wrestling Dontaku?
We got to do the New Japan next, I would say. Yeah.
So do you want to talk about the COVID outbreak going on there, or are we going to just talk about Dontaku and then finish with that?
I got to tell you something. I don't want to talk about the COVID that's happening over there because I don't follow it. I just have thrown my hands and said, look, if shows happen, I'll watch them. Mm-hmm. If shows aren't happening, then it's whatever. I am so over COVID talk in every facet of my life. I cannot sit here and talk about vaccine. Everyone wants to talk about vaccine. There's nothing more boring to me than talking about vaccines and fucking recovery rates and I can't take it. So no, I don't want to talk about the COVID. So Japan's a fucking train wreck. You're not going to get accurate information out of me anyway because I don't care enough about it and I'm not following it close enough. If the shows happen, I'll watch them.
Yeah,
but it looks like some shows aren't going to happen. We've already had some more empty arena stuff with All Japan and some other places. We've had some companies cancel shows, Dragongate, New Japan. But do I want to sit here and have a detailed conversation about the state of Japan when it comes to COVID and what it's doing to wrestling shows? No, I do not.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, so obviously,
quite honestly, I don't think the listeners give a fuck either.
Probably not. Yeah, night 2 of Wrestling Dontaku obviously got changed a lot due to a number of people getting put into safety protocols, and we do know that 2 New Japan talents did test positive. Have those names actually been public? We've been given the names, but I don't think they're public, and I'm not going to do that.
I'm not saying them. We're not saying them. Okay. It's not our place.
I just wanted to we should have mentioned this before the show, but I wanted to have this little let's not say the names that we have heard. So
no, 2 guys have COVID. They're quarantining. The other 4 from the 6-man tag, they're quarantining Kid and Uemura, I think, as well, because they were, I don't know. So they're quarantining.
They were seconds, I believe, in that match, right? And I think that maybe that's the reason, or they were nearby,
or they wrestled
or something.
A tag,
yeah,
or they wrestled a tag with some of them a couple days earlier or something. I don't know, but all I can say is the last thing we heard is that both of the people that tested positive are doing fine, very mild symptoms. So that's good news. But yeah, we're obviously not. Look, we can't confirm it anyway. And even if the people themselves told us that it was them, I don't think we'd say it on the air. That's not our place.
No, nor do I really want to be going out there naming names. So yeah, they did not release the names, and I don't really want to go through that because if we're wrong, not
only did they not release the names of the guys who had COVID, they technically didn't release the names of the people quarantined.
Right, you could do the math. I mean, you could see who didn't appear on night 2, and yeah, it's obvious who they might be, but yeah, they didn't say this wrestler, that wrestler, that wrestler, all are testing for COVID right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, they didn't name them. I mean, you're smart enough to figure out who got pulled from the shows, but. I mean, New Japan told us themselves, hey, look, we're going out of our way not to even name who's being pulled from the shows. We know fans are going to figure it out, but, look, so hopefully, these are young men in great shape. So, the odds are good that they'll recover just fine. And it seems like they have mild symptoms at the moment. And hopefully none of the other, half dozen guys who are quarantining, hopefully they don't ultimately test positive at some point. But we've seen wrestlers from other companies. Look, Kano had it in a bad way. He lost like 10 pounds and he's still recovering. His body's still recovering. So Kano got it bad, and Zeus had it and he seemed to just recover quickly and he's fine. I'm sure I'm forgetting some other wrestlers who, where it's public knowledge that they had it, Japanese wrestlers, but those are two that immediately come to mind. So, hopefully that's the case here, but they haven't announced a card, at least as of this show, for the Yokohama show, because they don't know who the fuck they have available.
Right, yeah, the Yokohama show, we know nothing, and the Wrestle Grand Slam show at Tokyo Dome, we know one match so far, and that's so far in the distance, though, with May 29th, but we know nothing of the stadium, so the stadium might be a mystery vortex show for all we know, because, I don't think they know who they have on hand, so weird times, for sure, but you're right. At the end of the day, if a show's on, I just watch it, and that's kind of the way I'm going through life right now. So if they're gonna put the shows on, I'm gonna watch them, and we're gonna talk about them here. So let's talk about these Wrestling Dontaku shows. Joe, as I said, I only watched on night 1. I watched the semi-main event and the main event. Or sorry, I actually saw the last 3 matches of this night. So I can give thoughts on those. Anything on the 3 matches that started off the show that were just kind of multi-man tags. Anything that you remember from night 1 that's worth talking about for those first 3, multi-man tags?
Yeah, I did note that everybody worked really hard. That's all I got.
Yeah, there you go.
But I mean, no, they worked. I did think that people were working exceptionally hard in those tags to open up night 1. Okada in particular, who really doesn't try ever at all unless it's in a big singles match these days. He had a real spring in his step that night, and he was flying all over the place. And I actually noted that in my notes. I was like, I don't know what got into Okada, but he had his working shoes on for this stupid tag, this 6-man tag against Suzuki-gun. So, everybody worked real hard. And the LIJ versus United Empire 8-man tag, you had your final standoff between Takagi and Ospreay. And, that was, Hanare has been working hard ever since he turned, because obviously he feels reinvigorated. He's not just a random babyface prelim guy getting beat every night. So he's part of a group that's being pushed. He's their pin eater, but you see an extra. He comes across right now as a guy who knows he's got a chance to be pushed for finally after
right.
There's a little extra in his work. In the United Empire, they as the freshest unit, I think there's a little bit of that with all 4 of those guys, where they feel like they're the hottest thing in the company, because they are, and they really go out there and work hard even in these kinds of matches. So, yeah, I do think in those first 3 bouts, the one thing I noted was, man, they're working harder than usual, and these matches are holding my attention more than they usually do. So there you go.
Then we had Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tonga Loa, and this was to determine if the Dangerous Techers were going to be able to get a tag team title shot. And Joe, Zack Sabre Jr. won, so thankfully, finally, for what I'm assuming is the first time ever, I'm not going to look it up, Dangerous Techers will face the Gorillas of Destiny with the IWGP tag team titles on the line. I, for one, cannot wait to see that battle between those two teams, Joe. So,
yes, a fresh matchup between two fresh teams.
You just can close your eyes and just imagine all the spots that they're going to do, all the things that they're going to do, all the pretzels Zack Sabre Jr. is going to put people in. My goodness, it's just it's titillating, Joe, that what we're going to see when those two teams finally do battle in a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring. So.
Listen, you take away Will Ospreay and United Empire, and there is nothing happening in this company.
Yeah,
nothing.
Speaking of, do you have anything else to add about Zack Sabre Jr. and Tonga Loa?
No, I do actually.
Other
Did you
than
watch
that,
that match
Tonga Loa, yeah, Tonga Loa was good.
This is gonna be my hot take for night one, but I thought it was the best match of the show.
Of the three I saw, I would agree.
It was the best match of the show. Oh, you didn't like Jay White Tanahashi either?
Nah.
I thought we might be able to debate it a little bit.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no.
I mean, your opinion's your opinion. But I thought Sabre Jr., Tonga Loa, I thought it was a good match. I thought it was like a solid 3.5-star match. Tonga Loa is one of the most improved wrestlers in the business. I mean, I never thought we'd get singles performances like this out of him.
No, he was. I wrote about it in the book last year. It was for whatever reason when he came back from when they returned to New Japan after COVID or whatever. He's been like really good for no reason. Like I don't know why. I'm not sure what he did that made him good, but he just like tries really hard now and is really really good. And it's the gap between him and Tama Tonga, which we'll talk about here in a bit, is like, it's enormous. And I would have never thought that. I would have never thought the gap between these two would be as big as it is, but he's blowing Tama Tonga out of the water. He's so much better. And I don't know why. And there's like a clear line of like, he came back from the COVID thing and was just ready to go. So I have no idea why. I have no clue. I have no real reason to say why that's the case, but it's been going on for almost a year now where he's just been like good for some reason. And I don't know why.
Listen, guys improve and guys get worse.
Yeah.
It's just, but, yeah, I thought the match was solid as fuck. And the scary part about it was because of the second night falling apart with the junior match getting taken off the table and everything else. Going into the night 2 main event, the best match on these shows was a Tonga Loa singles match. I was thinking about that as Will Ospreay was hitting the ring for his main event against Shingo. I'm like, if this match doesn't deliver, and what are the odds that wasn't going to deliver? And obviously it delivered fucking enormously. The best match on these shows is going to be a Tonga Loa singles match.
Which is really dark. Yeah.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah,
but it really was a good match. Like it's not even a matter of, well, it is kind of a matter of there was nothing else that was good, but it had it on merit too, because I really thought it was a really good match. Well worked and everything else. Saber's been good, and Loa has really, when he first came in the company, I was like, he's in over his head and he's never going to be, someone who feels like he belongs here. And it's taken he became a competent tag wrestler for sure. He improved pretty quickly in that regard. But now he's a guy that you can trust in a singles scenario, which I never thought would have happened.
Now we had a ladder match between Taichi and Tama Tonga with the Iron Fingers put into a plastic bag. How third rate did this look? This looked... I was embarrassed for New Japan when they put these fucking Iron Fingers into a plastic bag and put it above the ring. What are you guys doing?
Rich, did you happen to watch Yano Evil in the
No.
Okay, well, that made this match look like fucking Masawa versus Kawada.
No. I guess I have to watch it then at that point.
You gotta watch it. Yeah, it's something you gotta see. But this was awful. I mean, oddly enough, the most interesting people in this match were Tonga Loa and Dookie. I mean, the run-ins and the stuff like that was more interesting than the match itself. It felt about, 4.5 hours long.
27. Who wrote 27 minutes down on the run sheet for fucking Taichi and Tama Tonga in a ladder match?
Okay,
what are you doing?
Who could possibly care who gets the fucking oven?
I don't care. Yeah, I was like wondering why I needed to. Okay, cool. Taichi got the ring, the Iron Fingers. All right. Cool.
Who could possibly get? And it's like these guys aren't used to doing ladder matches, and I mean, I guess they could copy spots that they see in other places, but this wasn't even okay. A lot of times we come on here and talk about ladder matches, and they're good matches, but we're just tired of the concept.
Right.
But it's like, okay, they did a lot of risky stuff and it was good, but I just don't want to see them anymore, so I didn't like it. This was just bad.
It was a boring ass match that had a ladder.
It was just a boring match.
Yeah, it was a boring match that featured a ladder.
And the best bump was Dookie going through the ladder on the outside.
Yeah, Dookie fucking ruled in this match. He was great because he came in with intensity and he took the big bumps that the other guys weren't really willing to or didn't really want to in this match.
Yeah,
God bless Dookie. Yeah, I don't know what this would have done.
And I think that was Tonga Loa throwing him through that ladder.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, so two guys, like you said, two guys that weren't even involved in the match ended up having the only spot that I remember in the match. So good.
I wish it was Tonga Loa versus Dookie in the ladder match. It would have been a hell of a lot better than Taichi versus Tama Tonga. No, it was not. It was not good.
Yeah,
it was
like
boring.
It was just boring as fuck. Yeah, it was just boring as hell. Nothing happening. Just the better forgotten, and nobody will ever remember this match other than to say, remember when New Japan did a ladder match and it sucked? Yeah, that's what we'll get. And then we had
I get they're trying to be, and I get they're trying to be creative, and I appreciate it. I mean, they're the roster's down and they're trying different things. It just didn't work though. It just wasn't good.
No. And then the main event, never openweight title match. Jay White defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi to win the title, become the first man to ever win the New Japan Grand Slam, quote unquote, the IWGP US, the IC, and now the heavyweight title as well. So he is now the new never openweight champion. Match goes 39 minutes, and they had a really good 15 to 20 minute match in them, but it was just so long. It just never got going, and it was just waiting and waiting and waiting. And the last 5 minutes are okay. They were solid enough, but God, when you're investing nearly 40 minutes and only 5 minutes have anything of interest in, I mean, it was just every Jay White match you've ever seen before. Tanahashi just kind of, I don't really want to criticize Hiroshi Tanahashi in here because I don't know what else he's really to do, but when you have these Jay White control periods and they go 30 minutes, it's just, I'm just sick of it. I'm done with it. I like Jay White in the ring. I like his style, but it's something that I mentioned a few months ago. I need to see the next step in Jay White. I need to see a little more. This is the Jay White that we're getting here is no different than the one we had 2 years ago. It's no different than the one we had a year ago. It's just, I don't get what we're doing with this guy. And I he's really leaning into this sort of, shit talker, slow it down, plotting, control period style. And that worked to a point, but it doesn't work in a 40-minute match. It just bores you to tears, and it didn't matter in the last 5 minutes that Tanahashi fired up. I just could not wait for it to be over, and then Jay White gets the Blade Runner, and there was some good stuff in the final few minutes, but Jesus Christ, 40 minutes of my life just wasted on this match that just bored me to fucking tears.
You didn't like the limb work and then the payoffs at the end, and Look, here's the thing. This match was just boring as shit.
It's just boring. It wasn't bad. It was a good match, but it bored me to fucking tears. So I guess it's not a good match. So
I don't have long, complicated analysis here. They lost me, and they did not get me back. I was bored. And Jay White, he's very hit or miss. I like Jay White too, but he does miss. And this was one of his misses. Sometimes his shit really lands with me, and I like the way he works and the suddenness sometimes of where you never know when the finish is coming, and his methodical style does work for me. And then there's times like this where it's like watching this match was like sitting in a dentist chair. You're getting drilled, and it's just a horrible time in your life. Just sitting here trying to watch this match with a clap crowd, no less. Just wasn't good. It was boring. And I shouldn't say it wasn't good. I guess it was good, but I was bored.
It's weird.
They never reeled me in.
Technically, it was a good match. Everything they did was fine, but it was just boring beyond belief. So it's like one of those weird where I don't want to say that the work was bad because the work wasn't bad, but the work just never was interesting or never really engaging or never a whole lot of fun. And I just think I'm also not invested in the story whatsoever. I don't really care about their ab showdown. I really don't give a shit. And I'm still left with the same questions I had a few weeks ago and months ago about this. Whatever we're doing with Jay White, like, why did we tease all this stuff to do nothing? Now he's just more successful. All right. Well, I'm the never win champion. Cool.
Well,
right.
I think what it comes down to is when he lost and had that promo where he broke down,
and had the wrestling world talking, and everybody was really excited. Yeah,
when he was the hottest topic in wrestling for. I think what it comes down to is that was simply a device to give him time off and let people think that he was leaving when the reality was he never was. And that's all there was to it. I don't think they ever planned on that being a step in character development. That was just a way to spice up his short absence. And I think, in hindsight, that's all that was. And I think we all kind of worked ourselves into a shoot thinking this was going to be, is he going to come back and have a war with evil? Is he going to be is he going to adjust his No, none of that. It's the same Jay White. They had no grand plan here. It was just an interesting way to write him off for a while. That's all. And I think we have to accept that at this point. So Rich is someone who has been very frustrated with the Jay White character for a long time and the lack of development and what's the next step. I'm not quite where Rich is when it comes to that. I totally see where he's coming from, and I do agree to an extent. But my bigger problem with Jay White are when he has matches like this that just, look, he works long bouts, and a lot of times they work for him, but when they don't, you're stuck with a long match that is also incredibly boring. And this was just a bore. It wasn't, this is just boring as shit. Not something I want to watch at 4:00 in the morning with a clap crowd where I'm trying to hold my eyes open to begin with. It's rough. It's not easy.
Yeah, and the parts of his game that I think really were, like you said, excelled at, like when he would do that out of nowhere, he'd finish and he'd counter anything and all that sort of stuff. There was a fun sort of aspect to his matches for a long time there, and I feel like little by little we're kind of losing that in favor of the quote unquote main event style that he's wrestling here, which is like a 40-minute limb work, control period. And then the talking in the ring, like that's something that I think is a great asset to use. And I think there's times and places to use it, but like, it's just, that's all it is now. It's just him going, hey, Tanahashi, hey, Tanahashi, hey, Tanahashi, and he's just kicking him and hitting the guardrail and Gato screaming, like, it's just like, oh my God, like, okay, I get it. I understand what you're doing, but it's the same thing over and over and over, and it's just, I'm ready for the next step here. I'm ready for the evolution, and I'm just not seeing it. And it stinks because I think he's got all the talent in the world, and I think he has the potential to be really, really, really good. But like you said, there's too many of these matches that you see that you're just like, man. But there's great ones too. You know what I mean? There's great matches that he has as well, where you're like, all right, there we go. That's what we need. But like you said, sometimes they land and sometimes they don't. And when they don't land, God, they're just infuriating. They're just
really hard watch.
Yeah, they're really just terrible, terrible watches. So
yeah. So
that was Dontaku Night 1. So what a the best match on the show apparently featured Tonga Loa. I didn't watch the other 3 tag matches, but Zack Sabre Jr. and Tonga Loa, the highlight of Night 1. So desperate times there. So
as far as Night 1 goes, not great, Bob.
Not great. Night 2 obviously lost a little bit of of juice because of COVID related things. So without naming names, you could probably see who got put in the protocol there. But Night 2 obviously had a bunch of tag matches that basically just filled out the undercard leading up to Ospreay versus Shingo. So I did not watch any of the other tag matches. Anything stand out? Anything I need to check out, or the listeners should check out?
No, the tag matches on this show didn't quite have the same energy as the tag matches on the first show.
Okay.
But look, I'm not recommending the tag matches on the first show.
You're just saying that if you were to watch them, you will.
They're fine. They have more energy than the usual undercard stuff. This was the Night 2 undercard tags were your typical undercard tags. In fact, there was the one that had Togo and Yano. That one fucking sucked. And the rest were kind of just there. I thought it was notable that Master Wato ate another pin. Outside of that, there's really not much to sink your teeth into. Jado was pressed into action. Togo was pressed into action. Look, this was the prime definition of a one-match show. I mean, you lost the junior title match, which was really the only other match of note on the entire show. You had all these tags. There was only 5 matches, period. So it was all going to come down to Will Ospreay versus Shingo. It was a one-match show.
Good thing, because you had the IWGP World Heavyweight title here. Will Ospreay defending against Shingo Takagi. 44 minutes and 53 seconds. Just fucking great. I mean, just incredible work. You liked it a lot. I say this, like, I love this match. I thought it was really, really good. You liked it even more than me, so I am going to let you have the floor, and then I will talk. But this is your time here, because you thought, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the best match that these two men have ever had.
Out of their 4, yeah. I mean, I've seen people say that they still prefer the Best of Super Junior final.
Yes, I'm one of those as well.
All right, here's why I would disagree, and I would put that one second.
You disagree with my opinion?
I would put that one second of the 4, and I would put the New Japan Cup final third, and I think the G1 match would easily be fourth. But the reason I prefer this one is because I think it was more of a complete wrestling match. I think the Best of Super Junior final was like the best possible example of a super athletic. I hate to use the term spot fest because that's not fair.
Oh, that match was though, and that's fine. Like it worked in that. Those guys in 20 minutes did 10,000 things, and it ruled. Every one of them ruled. But no, it's a spot fest match. It's fine.
Yeah, but when you say spot
no,
fest,
people have a negative connotation about it. Yeah.
GCW scramble opener, and I
they
don't.
Think
You know
facade,
what I mean?
Yeah, they think a facade doing a fucking twisting plancha to 5 other people. Yeah, so
yeah, I mean, I know you get it when I say that, but I don't want people to think that I'm calling it something along those lines. But it was a great fucking match, and like a match of the year winner in a lot of places and contender in a lot of places, and well earned. And I loved it. You know, we spent a lot of time bragging about it here, that match. But it was a Best of the Super Junior final style match, which is a different than a world heavyweight title style main event match, which is what they did here. So I thought this was a more complete match in terms of telling a story, telling a 4-match long story, because they did a lot of stuff that I don't want to call them callbacks because they weren't really callbacks, but stuff from the previous 3 matches that led to stuff they did in this match. And of course had the, exemplary top class, 2 of the best wrestlers, not only in the world, but maybe to ever live. I mean, is that crazy to say? And the performance you're going to get out of 2 guys like that. So it had all of that. Plus, to me, it was just a more complete match with bigger stakes and all of those things. So that's why I prefer this one to the Super Junior match. Does that explanation make sense to you?
No, it does. Yeah, and that's when it was over. That's the thing that I had is like, I think it's in some ways it's I hate that we have to do the comparison of, okay, which one now do you think is better or which one is better, like, because they're 2 totally different matches. You're absolutely correct. Like this match and the Best of the Super Juniors match,
they're all great matches.
Oh, they're all great, yeah. But other than featuring Will Ospreay and Shingo Takagi, there is nothing that's similar to the Best of the Super Juniors and this match, other than they call back some spots or whatever. But like you said, that one was a let's do as many spots as humanly possible. Just go boom, 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 boom for 20 minutes. Just absolutely do everything we can in 20 minutes. Whereas this one had a little bit more of a kind of a quote unquote main event match structure, more of a heavyweight match structure. And Will Ospreay is not the same guy that he was 2-3 years ago, and with Shingo Takagi to a lesser extent is not the same guy that he was 2-3 years ago, even though he's kind of eternal at this point in terms of what he can deliver. But like, yeah, they're 2 totally different matches, and it kind of sucks that at the end of this we're thinking, one of the thoughts is, okay, where does this rank? And it's just I'm of the mindset that I don't really, even though I did it, and that's kind of the bit that we started this entire, review with, it's just, to me, I think that they deserve to stand alone on their own, because they were 2 great, like 2 of the best examples of their style of matches ever. That one, the prior one, was probably the best example of a Best of the Super Juniors final I can think of, probably my favorite Best of the Super Juniors final ever. And this one was right up there with some of the best, heavyweight title matches I've ever seen, in my life as well. And yeah, comparing them, apples to apples, I just don't love it, because I think it takes away from both of them, where they both should stand on their own in some ways, because this was tremendous. I mean, this was a really, really tremendous match. I mean, Will and Shingo are, you said it there, and I have no problem standing on that ground as well, 2 of the all-time greats. Shingo is, I'm done even trying to like give qualifiers for Shingo. I mean, he's an all-time great. I mean, if you said right now, Rich, give me your top 10, Shingo Takagi is in my top 10 of all time. Easily in my top 10 of all time. That's fucking incredible. How long have we talked? As long as this show has existed, we have not gone 3 months, 6 months, whatever amount. We have every single year of this entire show's existence, we've had multiple matches that Shingo Takagi's been in where we've said that's a fucking incredible match. Shingo Takagi's the greatest. You know what I mean? Like that alone, and he's been good for years prior to us doing this show. Going back years and years before that. He's a fucking all-time great. He's one of the best ever. And Will's on that trajectory too, man. I wouldn't say he's in my top 10 now, but dude, he's gonna be there. I mean, unless some freak injury occurs, but he's on the fucking trajectory.
Well, just thinking about it, I think I can say comfortably that they are 2 of the 20 best wrestlers of all time.
That's fair.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Comfortably. 2 of the best 20 that I've ever seen. And they just had a match here that, to me, when it was over, all I could think was, this was special. It's almost like sometimes you see a match and you know that it was a great match, right? And you're like, oh, okay, this match I just watched was great. I know that this was great. This is one of the best matches I've seen this year, or that this guy has ever had in his career. This was the kind of match where I watch it, and when it's over, I'm thinking to myself, this is better than all of the great matches I've seen. This was just a completely different level of great. This was something special. I believe this is one of the best heavyweight title matches I've ever seen. I think you just said the same thing. This is right up there with Tanahashi-Okada matches. It was probably better than about half of them. I'm prepared to say that. And I'd have to think about some of the others.
That's tough. I do need to sit down and kind of think about that a little bit.
I think it's easily better than the first Dome match they had. There's about 3 or 4 where this match was easily better than the bottom 3 or 4 Tanahashi-Okada matches. It's probably just as good as the next couple, and then I don't think I'd put it ahead of like my top 1 or 2. That I wouldn't do. But definitely, if you're slotting it in there, it's somewhere in the middle if you're ranking it with those matches, in my view. I think it's right there with a lot of the old Triple Crown matches from the 90s that I love, right there in the same conversation. Better than a lot of them, worse than a few of them, off the top of my head. There's some Ring of Honor world title matches I could think of that were maybe on this level. But not much else. Not much else. This was really that level of great to me. I find it hard to believe. It's always dangerous to say this. I find it hard to believe anything will top it for my match of the year. But you can never say these things before G1.
Yeah, not in May. It's very dangerous to say that in May.
Dangerous to say these things before G1. It's dangerous. Ospreay's going to wrestle Okada in 29 days. Who knows how? Look what they did last time. That might be my number 2 match of the year. The Tokyo Dome match. But this was just an incredible match. And I guess I should tell people why, right? I talked about some of it, but you look at this match, I see a lot of people saying, oh, well, they've had the same match all 4 times. Well, you're not paying attention. That's a horrible take.
Not true, yeah.
And then look, you may not be as invested in their matches, and you may not notice that they're not having the same match every time. But the last time these 2 guys wrestled, Ospreay took like 70% of it. It was a very oddly structured match. And I noted that at the time when we talked about it. It's like, man, Ospreay really kind of ate him up. Shingo had that one zombie spot at the end, and we thought he was going to make a big comeback, but he didn't. Ospreay put him away. Well, that played into this one. Because Ospreay largely dominated Shingo. In this match, Shingo had all the answers for all of Ospreay's key shit. It counters for everything. He was ready for everything, right? So he had that aspect of it. Right down to the end of the match where Will Ospreay went for the top rope Hurricane Rana and Shingo shoved him off and blocked it. And it looked like Shingo was going to make his big comeback from there. But that's where he came off the top rope and Ospreay hit that cutter. And then that led to the finish. A tremendous way to finish it because it looks like Shingo, it's like, oh, he's got all the answers for this guy. But then out of nowhere, cutter, and then the Rainmaker and, the Stormbreaker and all that. You had the great arm work that Will Ospreay was doing that ate up the middle portion of the match, working Shingo's left arm.
Which had a cool little story to it as well. Did you listen to the English commentary or the Japanese? Well, you watched it live, so you watched the Japanese commentary.
I watched the Japanese commentary.
Yeah, so I watched it back, and I like that Kevin Kelly brought this up, that a lot of that early work and a lot of it was Will Ospreay going for kind of a hoverboard lock type of move or whatever. And Kevin Kelly was really smartly, and I'm assuming that Will had this in mind as well. I don't know if 100% he did, but at least Kevin was hitting it on the head, so I'd imagine he may have. Call back to Will Ospreay and Kushida, who had a match at Wrestling Dontaku in 2018 where Will Ospreay defeated Kushida to win the junior heavyweight title. So a cool little thing that he was kind of saying, hey, you know what? Hey, I can use, hey, this guy used this against me. Let me see if I can do it against him. So it was kind of a cool little thing there, cool little callback as well. And whether it happened intentionally or unintentionally,
no, it was absolutely
I enjoyed it. It had to be intentional. I'd imagine.
He had never used that move before. He was using Kushida's shit because it worked against him.
In that building at Dontaku, yeah. So there was a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. This guy's a brilliant pro wrestler. I mean, you say what you want about him as a person, and, I don't think anyone thinks he's a brilliant guy. But in terms of pro wrestling, he's brilliant because he does stuff like this all the time. So, yeah, that was absolutely intentional. He's working in Kushida's stuff to work over Shingo's arm. And then Shingo never forgot about it. Like, he was working his injured left arm into his offensive spots later in the match. So and holding his left arm at his side like his arm was just useless and lame at that point forward. So while the arm work didn't play into the finish, it played into the rest of the match. It weakened Shingo, and he sold it tremendously the rest of the way. Both of these guys, their selling was out of this world. Not just selling spots, but selling accumulated damage. By the end of the match, both guys are staggering around like Terry Funk because they just went 40 minutes and they're beating the living shit out of each other. And they're on their last legs. Will Ospreay. Okay, Shingo does the Made in Japan through the two tables, which was a disgusting fucking spot. Oh my God, how great was that spot? And how great did they tease the table spot all match long? You don't know when it's coming. And remember, Shingo tried to give the Made in Japan on the floor in one of the earlier matches, and it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. And in this match, he does it off the apron through the table. Again, these aren't the same matches.
No, and those tables fucking exploded.
So he gives him the Made in Japan through the two tables, which was an extension of the previous matches. Gets Will back in the ring, gives him another Made in Japan, nearly breaks his neck on that one. And then what does Will do? He sells like he's fucking dead. And you know that the reason he did that is because he knows the move didn't come off as cleanly as it should have. So again, this guy's such a smart wrestler, bell to bell. And then by the end of the match, the way they both sold the accumulated damage down the stretch, where they were both just running on fumes, and Will with the desperation, I forget what move it was, where they did the double sell similar to the match before, and then it was just a matter of who was going to be able to stand, and then. Let alone the fact, and then outside of all the wrestling psychology stuff that I loved, that I just talked about, just look at some of the incredible spots in this match. The Made in Japan through the two tables, the bump that Will Ospreay took off of that pumping bomber. Has anyone ever taken a bump that great off of a clothesline ever in pro wrestling?
It was awesome.
I mean, the error that he got on that, and just that spot. And all of the others that I can't even, the hidden blade to the front of the throat in the closing stretch of the match that, I audibly squealed and thought that Shingo was fucking dead when he hit. The hidden blade is the best move in wrestling. It's the best move in wrestling, and it should be his finisher. I have no idea why the Stormbreaker is the finisher. The Stormbreaker should set up the hidden blade. He should give the guy the Stormbreaker, sit him up, and then give him the hidden blade.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I always think that because he hits the hidden blade, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And then he picks him up, I'm like, oh, yeah, the Stormbreaker. Because the Stormbreaker's like, it's kind of convoluted, and he's got to flip and do. It does not have the same impact. Whereas I'm 100% with you. He needs to turn that around and just fucking knock people out with the hidden blade and leave them laying in the middle of the ring after that. Yeah, I'm with you. 100% with you on that.
Yeah, so that hidden blade to the throat. So there were just all these spots that were just stupid. And the match, it felt like a fight. Shingo's matches always feel like there's a physicality to them. Will Ospreay is very underrated in that regard, especially when he's in there with another guy like that. It was stiff. It was nasty. A lot of the spots I just described were just nasty looking spots. They both looked like they had come out of fucking a tour of duty by the time this thing was over. They were both in tatters. And on top of all of that, despite the complexity of a lot of the spots and everything, the work in this match was fucking impeccable. Find me a flaw in the work in this match. You can't.
Yeah, for 44 minutes, two guys go out there and
flawless work.
Everything they try to do, they do and do it well. Never, didn't fuck anything up. Nobody felt like they were out of place at any point. I mean, that to me alone, just on that level, is so remarkable to do. It's just, the idea of that, the amount of body coordination and stamina that you have to have for 45 minutes to go out there with the pace that they worked at and not fuck anything up and not have one misstep, one minor fuck up, nothing, just 100% pure smooth work. It's
and thank you for
crazy.
bringing up that word pace, because that's the final thing I want to talk about before I hand it off to you. The pacing of this match. This was one of the best paced matches I've ever seen. And the reason I say that, it wasn't balls to the wall, but there also wasn't a single dull moment in the 44 minutes of this match. They worked this match at a perfect pace. Okay? 44 minutes, 45 minutes. And they had to go long because there was a 5-match show and there was nothing else on it that went over fucking 10 minutes. Okay? 45 minutes, and from start to finish, it was compelling from start to finish. No fucking rest holds to kill any time. Nothing that happened in the match that wasn't impactful or didn't feel like it mattered. Okay? They filled the time to perfection. And they never showed any sign of gassing either guy. Okay, despite the fact that they were working basically at a solid pace from start to finish, okay, but never overdoing it. They never hit that best of the Super Junior pace. Why? It wasn't a best of the Super Junior match. It was a world heavyweight title match, and they worked it as such. Completely different match, as we talked about a few moments ago, than a Super Junior style match. Super Juniors, they worked that kind of match. This match, they did something else. And they could have easily went back to their old bag of tricks and done the same old shit. But they treated this match with the reverence it deserved. You don't think Will Ospreay is into the idea of being the IWG World Heavyweight Champion? There's effort going into these matches for him. And Shingo, that man's a fucking machine. A machine. Can you believe there were people arguing with us that when we said Shingo should have been pushed instead of Evil? I don't want to go back down that road, but they look like fools. Fools! We win again.
As always, we win again. Yeah, eternal victory lap for us on that one. But
this was. But listen, all told, when you factor all of that in, for me, this is as close to a perfect match. I can't find a single flaw or thing I would change about this match. It was perfect. That's why I'm going 5 stars.
There it is.
That's why I think.
Is that your first 5 of the year?
No, I got a couple. Hold on, I'll pull it out.
Yeah, get the notebook out there. I think Wrestle Kingdom you may have gone 5. You may have gone 5.
Yeah, I did. Let me go through the rest of my little diatribe here, and I'll dig it out for you.
Okay, please do.
That's why I'm going 5 stars. That's why I think it's one of the greatest world title matches I've ever seen, and I can only think of a couple off the top of my head that I would definitely place above it. But I think it's one of the 10 best heavyweight title matches I've ever seen, maybe one of the 10 best matches I've ever seen, period. Because it really was that great in every regard. Selling, pacing, work. The fact that it's part of a series and they incorporated all of their previous shit into this match. The storytelling within this match with the arm work on Shingo. The spot where Shingo bluffed the lariat, knowing that Ospreay would duck because they know each other so well now, and then DDT'd him. With the healthy arm, by the way. Just little thing, and there's a million things like that in this match. And it's one of those matches where it reinvigorates my love for pro wrestling, because I remember how great pro wrestling could be when I watch a match like this. 5 stars, one of the greatest world heavyweight title matches I've ever seen, one of the greatest matches I've seen, and it really hammers home the idea that these are 2 of the best guys, not just today, but quite honestly, probably ever.
There you go.
Rich Craig, the floor is yours for the...
what else do I add to that?
Well, tell me why you hated the match so much.
I fucking hated this thing. I went 4 3/4 because I thought it was trash. These goddamn spot monkeys. It was fucking tremendous. The reason I didn't go the full 5 is, you always say, like, when you do the 5, you just got to feel it. Yeah. You got to know it, and you just got to do it. And when it was over, I was just like, No, not quite there, but like I still loved it. I really I definitely went 4 and 3/4. I still think it is in the pantheon of all time great heavyweight title matches. With that being said, there are still a few matches that I would put above it. I thought Okada and Will from Wrestle Kingdom this year was a little bit better. I also liked Will versus Zack Sabre Jr. from March 14th. Remember that one? It was New Japan Cup or so. I forget exactly what the show was, but that match really stood out to me, just being tremendous because it was compact. I'm always a bigger fan of the compact matches or whatnot versus ones that go a little bit longer. But with that said, the criticisms that I have, I mean, they're very minimal with this match. I mean, they went 45 minutes. They kept my attention the entire time. The pace never. I mean, the thing that I'll say, and you mentioned the pace thing, and you had a little bit of a rant about that. But the thing that I loved about the pace of this match is it just always stayed at, I don't know what number to use, like 7. You know what I mean? It was always at a 7.
Like I know exactly what you mean.
It never went to a 2. It was never, Shingo had a tight side headlock while they both guys got their breath, and it never went to the boom, 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 counter. Like, the best of the Super Juniors was pretty much a 9 or a 10 the entire 20 minutes. This match was a 7 the entire time, and that's fucking awesome. That's really hard to do. Like that, people don't understand how hard that is to go at 7 for 45 minutes. That's the point I was trying to make about why the pacing was so good, because if they would have ramped it up to a 9 or 10, it still would have been a great match, but it would have not been a perfect match to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, maybe I wanted it maybe to go to 10 at a certain point. It never did. And maybe that is why I didn't love it nearly as much as you did. But I mean, you got to give it up for going that entire pace the entire time. And for 45 minutes, keeping that consistent pace and always filling every moment of that time with something. I mean, there was a point where I was watching and they made the 20-minute call. And then there was a point where I was watching where they made the 40-minute call. And I swear to God, Joe, like 5 minutes passed in those 20 minutes. It was just like, dude, those guys got to 40 minutes already? Like, it just completely blew by. So, yeah, that was awesome work there. But, I mean, yeah, it's just, I think the thing that I love most about this match is just, like what you mentioned, that you go for that long, you go at that pace, and just everything works. There's no fuck-ups. There's nothing that's weird. Everything works well, and there's a lot of cool callbacks. There's the Will Kushida stuff. There's Shingo and Will stuff. There's Shingo being fucking Shingo, and it's just, there was points too during the match, and I will say that they had you buying that Shingo could do it, that Shingo could have finally figured this out when, going in, there was almost no doubt in my mind that Will was going to win, and that's a testament to Shingo being great. It's a testament to those guys being great, is that there were points. Like you said, the consecutive Made in Japans, I'm thinking, fuck, maybe. Like, I mean, I don't think that they're going to do it, but maybe they are going to do it, and that still did hook me, and it was one of those moments, too, where watching even a few days later, even knowing the result, your heart kind of stops for a sec. You're like, wait, I thought that Will won this, but I don't know. Is he going to kick out of 2 Made in Japans? Like, there's no way. And so there was a lot of stuff in this match, too, that did that. So, yeah, I think a tremendous match. Obviously, I hated it with my 4 3/4 coward rating there. But, yeah, just absolutely, if you have not watched it, go out of your way to watch it. And it will come up again at the end of the year for a Match of the Year countdown, for sure. It will be in the mix. I don't know if it's going to win. I think there's some pretty good contenders already this year, but it's going to be in the mix. And I'm just looking at my, my Match of the Year list here, my high ratings, and it's just it's all Will and Shingo. It's unbelievable. I have, at this point, Joe, right now, 6 Shingo Takagi matches that I've given 4.5+ stars to. 6.
Yeah.
It's a Shingo and Hiroshi Tanahashi from January. Will Ospreay versus Shingo. Shingo versus Jeff Cobb. Shingo versus Okada. Shingo versus Will Ospreay. And Shingo. I double counted as Shingo versus Will Ospreay. 5 matches that I have given 4.5+ to for Shingo. I mean, he's just unbelievable.
These are the 2 best wrestlers in the world right now.
Oh, and I'm not even close. It's not even there's nobody even in the same universe as that. I really do think that.
I mean, Will Ospreay has the Okada match in front of him. And
I have 6 Will matches. Sorry, I forget. So I actually have 1 more Will match than I had Shingo matches. There you go.
Yeah, and he's got the Okada match in front of him, and he's got a whole G1 in front of him. I mean, whether you want to hear it or not, he's going to be the wrestler of the year. It's going to come down to him and Omega, and he has the better match resume than Omega. Omega is going to win the Flair Thez, and Ospreay will probably win Most Outstanding, or at least deserve to win it. Mm-hmm. But the people who don't vote for Ospreay, or who ethically don't want to vote for him, that nonsense, they'll probably vote for Shingo. I don't see how you could vote for anybody else. To answer your question earlier, I have 2 other 5-star matches this year. Okada Ospreay from Wrestle Kingdom, and Shingo Jeff Cobb from Wrestle Kingdom are my 2 other 5-star matches this year. And then you look at 4 3/4 and see if you can identify the trend. Tanahashi Shingo from January 30th.
Yeah.
4 3/4, none in February. March, it's Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr., the match that you just brought up a couple minutes ago. Will Ospreay, Shingo from the New Japan Cup. And 4 3/4. And then this match here. So what's the common theme with every match I have at 4 3/4?
It appears to be Shingo or Will Ospreay involved, yes.
Yes. So, I mean, very much mirroring your opinion here that, you had 6 each for them or whatever it was, 4.5 or higher. And I have something like 4 each at 4 3/4 or higher for those two guys. So, yeah, they've been the two best wrestlers in the world, I think. I don't even know. I mean, if we were trying to come up with a third guy who would challenge one of those two spots, I don't even know what direction you would go.
Yeah, there's
Phoenix
a lot of...
has been very good, but he hasn't had matches at this level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm at a loss. I don't know even know where.
I've liked Kento Miyahara a lot this year, and maybe he's the next guy, but I don't think he's had it. I mean, he had the Zeus match that I really liked. He has the match that we're going to talk about here in a little bit that I really liked, but I don't know if I put him on that level. And then there's a lot of guys that have, like Kota Ibushi, I think has one really tremendous match this year. I think Okada has 1 or 2 tremendous matches so far this year. Yeah, it's like I said, it's 1 and 2, and then a big old list of people behind him, a big old blob of people behind him. I think they're
I can't
so
go
far ahead.
I can't turn to people like Okada and Naito who might have, one great match of the year level.
Yeah, we're talking about guys that we're in May and they have like 5 or 6 like high level match. I mean, there's nowhere close.
I mean, Naito hasn't done a thing since Wrestle Kingdom, and Okada, outside of the Will Ospreay match from Wrestle Kingdom, I mean, what else is there for him? I mean, he's a guy who's just chilling. I think his resume is a little stronger than Naito's. Well, Naito has the 2 Ibushi matches, I guess. The one in February as well. But yeah, I mean, but those aren't guys that are at that level. I mean, you're not going to find guys that have the depth. And then there's just other Shingo and Will matches too, like the Shingo match against Goto from March, which was awesome, but just wasn't at, threatening 5 stars awesome, but that match was awesome. And then you have the Will Ospreay match against Ibushi, which, I've got at 4.5. So it's like, it's not just the super, super high end stuff with these two guys. It's like every time they step in the ring, they're fucking awesome. So, to me, yeah. And Miyahara, I've liked his work too, but he hasn't had a classic Miyahara year where it's banger after banger. He's had a lot of really good matches, but I don't think he's had anything on the level of like the match we're talking about now.
No, certainly not.
So, I mean, unless we're forgetting someone obvious, I mean, you look at Kenny Omega, he's having a really, he's the Flair Thez front runner to me. But when you look at his matches, okay, nothing at this level. Now, he's had a bunch of really good 6-man tags, television 6-man tags that have been low-level notebook matches. The Rich Swann match was a bit divisive. It was a low-level notebook match for me. You weren't here last week. How many stars did you give that match?
For which
Omega and Swann. Omega Swann. Did you get to it?
I actually have not seen Omega Swann yet. So
okay, so you didn't even get to it. Yeah, so Omega has, the Seidel match, which was a really good TV match. But again, nothing on the Rey Fenix match, probably his best match from New Year's Smash.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But again, Will Ospreay and Shingo have 3 or 4 matches that are just as good and probably better than Kenny Omega's best match. So I don't even think you could turn to Omega. So where do you turn? Is there someone in WWE? There's not. Is there someone in Mexico? Not from what I've seen. And I've watched the big AAA show, and I watched the Volador Bandito match, which was an excellent. But where do you turn? I mean, is there someone on the indies having matches at that level? God, no. So these are the 2 best wrestlers in the world. It's going to come down to these 2 guys. And the only way someone else can get in the mix is if Okada beats Will Ospreay, which I think he will, by the way, for the title. And then he ramps it up and decides to have a typical Okada G1, which I don't know if he's interested in doing at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Yeah, I don't know if those days are, if he's really willing to, sacrifice his body to go out there for a month and have, just great match after great match. And I don't know. Yeah, I think he's the guy that's going to just peak in the big time moments, and he'll still have 3 or 4, G1 matches that really stand out. But yeah, I don't know if the days of him going out there and having 2 straight weeks of great matches, I think are probably done, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then I mean, but if he wins the title, has a big G1, and then has a couple good title defenses, he's a guy that I could project out, putting in the conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe someone emerges in the G1 and has a big G1, but Shingo and Will Ospreay will be in that tournament too.
No, right, and they will also, and those guys will have 2 straight weeks of great matches because that's what they do.
Yeah, because they're going to put the effort in. Because Shingo's a fucking machine. And Will Ospreay is still at the point of his career where it's maximum effort every time, especially this year, because this is, to him, he sees this as his year.
Yeah, he's arrived. He's arrived at this point. And
he's showing out.
This is what he's worked for. Yeah.
This is like one of those classic, this is like Okada 2017 or whatever, where it's just every fucking match. It's full on effort, even tags and shit, because his body's not feeling it the way these other guys are. And he feels like this is his year to shine. So these are your front runners. But, I didn't know we were going to have an impromptu Wrestler of the Year discussion, but the match though, I mean, I can't add any superlatives that I haven't already. I just thought it was fucking superb. I'm trying to find the tweet from Super J-Cast. I can't remember their handle. I thought it was just Super J-Cast, but it's not. Let me see if I could find...
It's the Super J-Cast in case.
Okay,
that's probably the problem, yeah. It's at the Super J-Cast.
Okay, so the Super J-Cast, because I want to read you this Joel tweet from that night, because I don't want to steal his phraseology, but I thought he said it perfectly regarding the title match. And of course I can't find it. But basically, paraphrasing Joel, is he called the match an instant classic in real time, which I think...
I think I found the exact tweet that you're talking about here. It says, Ospreay and Shingo had a lot of pressure on them to deliver tonight, but they didn't just knock it out of the park. They knocked it into orbit and nuked the park for good measure. What an outstanding match. A modern classic up there with the very best of Omega and Okada.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that they knocked it into orbit and nuked the park for good measure, because that's what Shingo would do for no reason whatsoever. Yeah. He's a fucking maniac. He would...
But that was my feeling in real time too, that I just witnessed a modern classic.
Yeah.
And he brings up Omega and Okada, and that's the final point that I'm going to make. These guys have had 4 matches now, and I think with this match, they have now entered the pantheon of the greatest in-ring rivalries of all time. And I know that probably sounds like a heavy statement too, but I've got 2 of their matches at 5 stars and another at 4 3/4. I mean, what are we doing here? This rivalry has been just as good, or at least in the same stratosphere, if not quite as good, as Omega Okada, as Okada Tanahashi, as Flair Steamboat. It's there. I truly believe that.
To me, the one thing that I will say, the reason why I'm still a little apprehensive to put it in that pantheon, even though it probably is at least in the mix or deserves a little bit of the conversation, is, moving forward, looking at where this thing goes from here. If they never have another match ever, is it there? I don't know. But even if they do have matches moving forward, and they do have, we're at a point now where, especially in New Japan, I don't know that their use of Shingo is going to make it that, you know what I mean? Because if it just ends up with Will Ospreay just winning every single time they face one another, that's going to lose a little bit of its luster. Whereas that's where the Omega Okada and the Okada Tanahashis and those, even in the Flair Steamboats, where there was that idea of, okay, we don't know who's going to go in here and win this match. And Shingo obviously went out to the early lead in that feud, but Will has kind of passed him up. And it now seems almost impossible that Shingo is ever going to beat this guy moving forward. But I mean, I guess if the title's not involved, there's a chance for that to happen or whatnot. Or I don't know, maybe New Japan just finally fucking figures it out and pushes Shingo. I have no idea, but that would be the only thing that would kind of prevent it for me for getting that upper echelon is in all of those matches you came in going, I don't know who's going to win this, and it could be either guy that wins this match, and that was always an intriguing thing about that.
Dragon Lee Hiromu, I mean, you go right down the line, but I think you make a good point. I'd put it behind a lot of those, if not all of them. Let me be clear. I just think it's in the conversation of, when I start bringing up the greatest in-ring rivalries of all time, this is going to be one of them now. But I don't think it's better than Okada Tanahashi, because you're right. The other guy has to win a big one. Okay, he won. Ospreay's 3-1. I think if Shingo eventually beats Ospreay at some point for this title, now you're really cooking with gas here in terms of comparing it to these other rivalries as well. Where I don't think I'd put it ahead of any of the ones I named, with the exception of Dragon Lee Hiromu. I think I'd put it ahead of that one. I wouldn't put it ahead of Okada Omega, Okada Tanahashi, or Flair Steamboat. Feel free to throw others at me if you want. But, I mean, I bring it up in the same breath. You know, we want to talk about Malenko Guerrero? Whichever ones you bring up. I think it's fair to put this one in that same conversation now. Cena Orton.
Of course. Oh, who can forget the 20 pay-per-view matches they had in one single calendar year? So, Daniel Bryan, Johnny Gargano. Daniel Bryan, Tommaso. Oh, that's sorry, the wrong segment. I thought we were doing that.
You mean we didn't get those dream match series? That
Somehow we did not.
We didn't get those.
Daniel Bryan versus Andrade. Daniel Bryan versus Kyle O'Reilly. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't get those 3 or 4 match series between those guys.
No.
We were promised, though. They promised us.
Yeah, that was going to happen. So sorry, wrong segment. But anyway, that's Wrestling Dontaku. That's New Japan. We do have Wrestle Grand Slam as far as the big shows coming up. That way, you know what match is for. We know Will versus Okada. That's May 29th at the Tokyo Dome. We know nothing about the stadium show. We know nothing else about the Tokyo Dome show. We don't know what the state of emergencies are going to be. We have no fucking clue. So as Joe said, if it's on, watch it. But I don't know. It's going to be tough to preview these shows moving forward as nobody has any clue what's going on. So.
Naito Ibushi, that's another one.
Yeah.
All the All Japan ones. I wasn't even thinking about All Japan.
Right. Yeah, I suppose we should probably mention those as well. Yeah,
I mean, there's a ton of them. Yeah. There's a ton of them, but I think I don't think. Here's my point. While I don't think it's probably better than most of those,
it deserves to be in that conversation. If you're
doing, not insulting if you bring it up in the conversation.
Right. If you're doing a listicle, you should maybe consider mentioning it if you're going to do a list about the best in-ring rivalries of all time. So
that's all I'm saying. And I'm not sure Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr. is that far off.
Yeah. Oh, hell, yeah. I was going to say Will and Marty, too. But that's,
you could say it. I mean, look, you can say it without endorsing Marty Scurll.
Right.
I mean, the match has happened. What are you going to do? O.J. Simpson ran for fucking 2,105. What are you going to do? It happened.
Yeah, Chris Benoit, pretty good wrestler. Pretty fucking horrible human being. So, sorry.
But, Rey Mysterio Psychosis, you go right down the line. It's better than some of them. It's not as good as some of them. I probably have to put more thought into Hiromu Dragon Lee. I have to put a lot of thought into that. So I think Hiromu and Dragon Lee had like 8 or 9 matches against each other. And they were all great, with the exception of that, oddly enough, the Ring of Honor match, which probably had more eyeballs on it in America than any of them with the exception.
Yeah, and it was just like fine, if I remember correctly.
And it was
right?
fine.
Yeah.
Now, they had matches in New Japan that were more high-profile than that one later. But up to that point, it was the most high-profile match they had to Americans, because all of their matches had been in CMLL to that point. And it was really disappointing because it was a good match, but it wasn't a great match. And every other match they ever had was great. And so they've had more great matches than Will and Shingo have had, by sheer numbers, because they've had more matches against each other. So that one I'd have to think about as well. This is only 4 matches, but to me, 3 of them have been, high-level match of the year caliber. That's a pretty good hit rate. So, you look at Okada Tanahashi, not all of them were match of the year caliber. They had a couple that were, you go back and watch them. That one Tokyo Dome match was I think it was like a 4-star match. And there were a couple of other, couple of the later ones. The one in Dallas definitely wasn't a match of the year caliber match. So, these guys have an incredible hit rate. But again, that could also be a product of not having as many. They haven't had chances to have matches that weren't, super high end. But anyway, we got other shit to get to.
Let's get to some of the other shit. Let's go to All Japan Pro Wrestling. We'll stay in Japan here. Actually, I think we're going to stay in Japan for a lot of this stuff, until we get to AAW. So, Champion Carnival wrapped up here on May 3rd. I've not seen as much of the tournament as you have, so I don't want to go wrestler by wrestler. We're a little bit too late in the show to kind of do that or wrap up.
Let's just do the final.
Yeah, we'll talk about the final. So, I want to talk about the semifinal as well, because I did watch that match on your tweet recommendations or your Slack recommendations. I forget where you recommended this, but Tsuji Ishikawa versus Suwama. 2 guys that I have not been interested whatsoever in recent years. They went out there and they fucking had a great match, man. That meant nothing. This match meant nothing in the actual, pantheon of the Champion Carnival. It was all about that final match between Jake Lee and Kento Miyahara. But those 2 dudes went out there and worked their asses off. I thought this was awesome. This was really, really fun.
Oh, I thought you meant you wanted to do the night before. You meant the semifinal match of
yes,
the final.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I figured we would talk about the show. Yeah. No, I loved Ishikawa Suwama. And
how good was that? That was so good, though. That was both guys working their asses off. I did not expect that either. I mean, they went balls to the wall and just beat the fuck out of one another.
I liked it better than Miyahara Jake Lee.
Interesting. I don't know if I'm there, but it was close. It was close.
I think I'm by myself because if you look at cage match, that's not the case. And let me pull up Grapple. But I know that on cage match, the Lee Miyahara match was higher. So I think I'm alone in that take, but sometimes you're going to be, you're going to have the brave lone take. Let me see. Yeah. So Jake Lee Miyahara on Grapple is 4.36 and Ishikawa Suwama is 3.88. So, I will be the lone wolf on this, but yeah, I went 4.5 on Ishikawa Suwama. I thought they fucking killed each other. It wasn't, it was a similar style of match, but I don't think quite as well. Fujita Sugera from the Noah show was similar, and they're about the same quality. I don't know which one I prefer, but I definitely liked it better than Miyahara Lee. I guess we'll talk about that match in depth as well. But yeah, these two guys just went out there and killed each other, and I think that Suwama had a better Carnival overall than he has had title reign. I haven't liked his title reign.
That's fair. Yeah, of the matches, I haven't seen all of them, but of the matches I've seen, he's definitely delivered on in the Carnival for sure. He
was rock solid in the Carnival, Suwama. In fact, if he's not my MVP of the Carnival, he's no further than number 2 behind Miyahara. Because Miyahara had the Yuma Aoyagi match, which was great. The Jake Lee match, which I thought was very good. The Zeus match, but Suwama, I mean, I love the Ashino match, and I really love this Ishikawa match. I thought this was the best match of the whole tournament. So Suwama would probably be my number 2 guy. And if you would have told me that coming into the tournament, I would have laughed at you because I think his title reign has been shit. I haven't liked it at all. He's looked like a guy who's way past his prime and everything else, but. This match fucking ruled. I'm surprised you really liked it too, because I feel like I'm the only guy. Like everyone thinks it was pretty good, but I think it was great.
Yeah, it's just 20 minutes, and this was the match where I made my declaration. And Joe, I want to put this by you too to see what you think. I watched this match, and obviously this was done in Cork and Hall, and because of the state of emergency, there was no fans. And when this match was over, I made an official declaration. I did not tweet it because I didn't really want to do the arguments or whatever, but I made the official declaration that I prefer no fans over clap crowds.
In the super small buildings, I completely agree. The atmosphere is so much better. Because you don't have that mental block of why aren't the fans cheering?
Yeah, there's this weird thing where you see fans in the building and they're not cheering. And also the claps are just... I've gotten really sick of the clap. I kind of hate the clap crowds now. Like when they initially started, it was like, hey, cool, some energy, let's go. But now it's just like the sound of it just drives me nuts. It makes my ears bleed when there's just a bunch of people clapping really fast. And it's just constant clapping. It just becomes too much. Especially in All Japan had a few, shows in these really, really small buildings or whatever. And yeah, you hear like 10 people clapping and they're right next to the camera. They're right next to the microphone. It just drives me up a fucking wall. And I like the no ring or the no fans a little bit better because I think the wrestlers wrestle a little differently. They understand that they're wrestling in front of nobody. They know that they have to kind of fill those gaps a little bit. The production I think is a little bit better because they don't show the crowd. They zoom in, they keep it really low. And then what they do in All Japan, and All Japan honestly is probably the best at the no quote unquote no fans, is because what they do is they'll have, the wrestlers go out to the crowd and the wrestlers make just as much noise and better noise than the fucking clap crowds would have. You know what I mean? They're out there hooting and hollering and yelling and stuff, and it works better. And then Tsuji Ishikawa and Suwama just go and beat the fuck out of each other. You hear everything they do. You hear all the in-ring action, and yeah, it's perfectly okay. So I officially declared at this moment that I much prefer having no fans over clap crowds. So I'll be more than happy when we get actual crowds that can actually make noise and cheer and stuff. But I'm kind of done with clap crowds for now, and kind of hope they go away because it's just, and it also avoids the. Oh, they were clapping much faster and louder for this. They must have loved it. It's just like, oh, how do you know? They're just clapping the same for everybody. I don't know. It's so dumb.
Yeah, I think I think you're right, and I think it really is even more apparent in the smaller buildings. Like that first ring when they had their empty no fan show. The thing with the clap crowds is what I do, and I know it sounds weird. I turn the sound down to almost nothing, but not completely off. And what that does is it still gives you the commentary. It still gives you the ring noises and the ring sounds. And you could hear the claps, but because the sound is down, I guess there's just some kind of mental thing in my head where my brain registers that as pops, as opposed to when I have the sound up and it's just very obvious that it's just polite clapping. It's weird. It works for me. It's hard to explain. But if anyone's struggling with the clap crowds, try it. Turn your volume down to like where you can just still hear it and watch. And it's almost like your brain puts the pops where they belong in a weird way, where they're meant to be, where you expect them to come. But I agree. I agree with you. I think the atmosphere is better. And I think All Japan and the NWA have really nailed it because they have, like you said, those other wrestlers or the extras making that noise off camera. And as long as it's tight shots and you don't see the empty seats, that's a big part of it too. It just sounds like a small room setting. And you know, the NWA power shows, they have the same feel as they had with the full fans.
Right.
Because you're still getting that hooting and hollering and catcalling. And that was kind of the feel of these All Japan shows with no fans.
The clap thing, and again, I understand why they're doing it. I'm glad, fans can go, and I'm glad that they can be there and do stuff or whatever. But like, it's one of those things that, we a term that we heard last year a ton during COVID, for wrestling, for baseball, for anything, is it's like, it distracts you from what's going on in the world. And like the clap crowd's just making me more evident that we're in a weird, whereas the no crowd, it's just like, you know what, this two dudes going out there and fucking wrestling in a warehouse or whatever. Like I could buy that more than this crowd of 5,000 people are making very weird clap noises and stomp noises. Like, you know what I mean? It distracts me more that they're clapping and making noises versus just being in the ring and wrestling in a warehouse. That just, I don't know. It's interesting. I never thought I would get to that point because I was so ready for us to have fans again. And, now that we're 6-7 months or half a year, whatever the hell it is, into the clap crowds, I'm bored of them. I'm just ready to get to the next step with it, or just have no fans for a while until we can finally get to full fans. But anyway, that was Shuji Ishikawa and Suwama. And let's talk about the Champion Carnival main event, which I appear to have liked a little bit more than you. Jake Lee defeats Kento Miyahara. So before we talk about the match itself, Jake Lee, the big moment for him, Jake Lee finally, he turns heel earlier in the year, gets kind of the first injection of personality into his character for what felt like a long time coming. And now he's your Champion Carnival champ, winner. He defeats Kento Miyahara in the main event. I like the match a lot, but what do you think of Jake Lee winning the Champion Carnival? Right time for him to do it? I mean, that seems pretty obvious, but I'll ask the question anyway.
No, yeah, I was, look, for my personal taste, I wanted Miyahara to win, and I'd like him to win the title because I think he's the best and most interesting wrestler in the company. But I wanted Jake Lee to win because it's the right move. You do the heel turn, you give him his own unit. Just fucking do it. Okay. And he needs to win the title. Just go all the way with this. This is really the perfect time to do it too, because if you're going to have no fans or you're going to have limited fans, right, it's less risky to do it now because you can sell fucking 200 tickets to these buildings. And then maybe when the crowds come back, because he's been on top the whole time, maybe he'll be over enough to sell to you. Find out then, so this is like the perfect time to experiment and go with someone instead of crusty old Suwama, where you know what you have. He's never going to be a breakout guy. He's on the back end of his career. To me, this is all wasted time with Suwama having this long title reign. He's fucking Suwama. You know what you're going to get. He's never going to be a difference maker. So do the move, put it on Lee now and present him as a top guy during these COVID times. And then maybe when you're out of COVID, people will just see him at that level, or maybe they won't. But it's fucking time to try.
Yeah,
you went through the whole turn and everything else. Just fucking do it, man. People seem to be down on his work in this tournament. It's weird because I've been down on him so long. I enjoyed him in this tournament. I like the character work. He didn't go out there and have banger after banger, but I thought he did good character work. And I thought he had a good match here when he needed to. My one critique of this match is because he's a heel and he had the long control period. And even though Miyahara sold his ass off because Miyahara is just so fucking good, Lee struggles a bit, I've noticed, when he has to be in control for long periods of time. He struggles with compelling offense from the top. And that's something he's going to have to learn, especially as a heel. And, that was definitely a weakness of this match, which is why I say this match was very good. Can't call it great. 4.25 range for me, because the long Jake Lee control period in the middle, outside of Miyahara's great selling, I thought wasn't very compelling. Obviously, the closing stretch was pretty good, and the right guy won and all of those things. I just didn't think it was a great match.
Yeah, so I think I liked it a little bit more than you did, and I thought there was points, like you said, where Lee's control period was a little boring, but I would say the last real half of the match I thought was really, really good. Once you got into the Kento Miyahara kind of coming back and working his way back, and Jake Lee trying to cut him off and all that sort of stuff. So I really enjoyed the final stretch there, and I went in. Came in unspoiled. Like, I did not know who actually won this one, so that was kind of cool to watch that, and watching it unspoiled and feeling like at any point either guy could win this match, and Kento Miyahara is just fantastic. I mean, he again is so clearly, and you've made this point a lot of times as well, and there's usually not much pushback. I mean, there's some pushback from weirdos, but we don't really care about them, where it's like so clear that he's like the best guy in all Japan by like leaps and bounds. Like, Jake Lee's fine. You know what I mean? Jake Lee is okay, and I want Jake Lee to win the title because it's time to do that. But, like, Kento Miyahara is so much of a better wrestler than Jake Lee. It's not even close. You know what I mean? And that's not a slight on Jake Lee. It's just more to how great Kento Miyahara is, and how just, like, you see, I've watched a lot of the Champion Carnival, and there's some really good stuff. There's some stuff I really, really like in the Champion Carnival, but it's, oh my God, is it so clear that Kento Miyahara is just like the best guy in that entire company. Like, just so far and away. And he's just a good ass wrestler. I just love watching Kento Miyahara work. And this is one of those matches, again, like very a lot of other Jake Lee matches, mostly featuring Kento Miyahara, where I'm like, all right, maybe there is something here. Maybe this guy can go, but I'm not going to fall into that trap again, because a lot of those matches feature Kento Miyahara, who's just so good. But I liked it. I mean, this isn't tremendous. It's not great. It's probably slightly better than Suwama and Tsuji Ishikawa, but it's like nowhere in the pantheon of like Shingo and Will, like we're talking about, just happening the same day or a day or two later or whatever. I mean, it's nowhere near that match, but I thought a really good main event, and I think probably the right result there with Jake Lee getting the win. And now we'll see what he's made of and what moves, what happens moving forward. But I'm right with you. There's just no downside to not giving him the title right now. I mean, who cares? If you're going to sell any amount of tickets over the next few months, it's the negligible amount of tickets that you're going to sell, because Suwama, I don't buy that. 1,000 more people are going to buy tickets, even though you probably can't even sell 1,000 tickets. 200 more fans are going to buy 200 more tickets because Suwama's the champion over Jake Lee. It's just people are going to go if they can go. If they can't go, they can't go. It doesn't. It's just so clearly the time to give Jake Lee the title. So,
what do you think about putting Shotaro Ashino in a tag team with Suwama coming out of all of this? See, I don't know how I feel about this. I think, okay, they're going with Lee now, and as poorly as Ashino has been booked, and in particular in this tournament, how poorly he was booked, I think putting him in a tag team with Suwama might be a sign that they do believe in him.
That is true. I guess on that front, they wouldn't put him in there unless he's going to eat a lot of pinfalls too, and if that team loses, he's going to eat all the pinfalls, I should say, in that. But no, I mean, it tells you that they don't think he's an absolute nothing. He's going to be in big spots, and he's going to be in big moments. Well,
that team is going to win title. I mean, they're going to be a championship team. Okay. Violent Giants is done. So this is Suwama's new partner, and they had the rivalry, right? And now they've come together since Ashino did the turn, and now they shook it out. They're going to be partners. They're going to be a championship level team. I think this might be their way to get behind Ashino as part of the tag team first, and then go wherever they're going to go with him from there. So I actually think this tag team is a good sign for him, not a bad sign. So I just wanted your quick thoughts on that, and then I guess the overall with the Carnival. I thought Otani was good until he, quote unquote, got injured and pulled out. I don't know because I talked about it last week on the solo show. Do you think it's dubious or suspicious that Otani injures his shoulder right before the Kohei Sato match? The only person he ended up not facing in the tournament. Well, he didn't face Zeus either, but politically, Sato gets fired from 0-1.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm thinking, what the hell? Yeah, right. Okay.
So do you think that like they booked these guys for this tournament with the understanding of, okay, we're not wrestling each other?
Put it at the end, yeah.
They put it towards the end,
right,
second to last match. Otani works the shoulder injury the match before and then pulls out. So I thought that was kind of suspicious. I wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're definitely onto something there. That's interesting. That seems all too convenient, if you ask me, Joe. So
yeah, I thought that Kohei Sato was the worst guy in the tournament by a pretty healthy margin. We talked about how he doesn't look great physically. I don't think he wrestled well either.
I can't believe they got 10 points out of him. It's unbelievable.
It's one of those tournaments where everyone finished between 12 and 10 for the most part, though, to be fair.
Fucking not Satoru Oshino, who only had 8 somehow.
Yeah, he finished third to last, which is like, and one of the guys he finished ahead of, was an injury dropout.
And the other guy's a young boy, or slightly above young boy. And Koji Doi, so yeah.
Doi was always going to be the guy with the least points.
Of course, but it's like, it's a lot of names in front of Satoru Oshino, including Kohei Sato. I probably would not have. Yeah, that probably should not be.
Yeah, but I mean, it's and his results were puzzling. I mean, he did beat Miyahara. That's a big scalp. That's a good win. But a lot of puzzling losses. But I do think the Suwama tag team is encouraging. There's some encouraging signs here. Lee won the tournament. Ashino's going into what should be a very good tag team situation for him. But we've seen encouraging signs with this company before. It wouldn't stun me at all if Suwama beats Jake Lee. And that's 1,000,000% the wrong move. I mean, Suwama is just a dead-end situation. It's like, Suwama is like putting your title on fucking Randy Orton. It's like, what's the point? It's like putting your title on, I can't even think of like a New Japan comparison. I don't even know. Like, it'd be like going back to Yuji Nagata or something and just like, that's not even a good comp. It's just dumb. This company needs to make people. And Suwama's like 42 with a torn Achilles in his past. So, Lee needs to win. That's all there is to it. I don't know if you bothered watching, but the Strong Hearts 6-man, it's like you watch Strong Hearts and they're just...
I try not to. It depresses me too much.
Rich, with the exception of Miyahara, and I'll listen to an argument for Zeus, Strong Hearts are better than anybody else on this roster. Like, they're the best wrestlers on the roster outside of Miyahara, and Zeus when Zeus is trying. I think that's the best way to put it. Sometimes Zeus is like, you could tell he doesn't give a fuck. But, outside of that, I mean, I watch these guys in this 6-man after watching this whole tournament and watching this whole roster, and it's like, oh, these guys are just a level above the people on this roster. They just are. Ishikawa and Suwama on the downside, and there's good wrestlers on this roster, but they're not, your Yuma Aoyagi's who I like, but he's not on the level of Lindemann and T-Hawk. He just isn't. Your Iwamoto's. I mean, I'm not saying
there's a lot of good, but not a lot of greats on the roster. Yeah, it's a solid roster, but a roster that's definitely lacking in top dudes.
Yeah, like watching Strong Hearts work in that match. It's like when we always talk about. It's like watching a guy on an indie show who's clearly the best guy on the show. Like that's what it came across like. But they're gonna go fuck around in Gleet or whatever fake promotion they're gonna go fuck around in, and it's just
there's the iPad promotion that they're in. Do you ever see that one? I think we follow. Yeah, they stream at 5 a.m. on Shima's iPad. It's like on like something called Twitcasting or something, and it's like, what are you doing? Stop! We're in like call a number. You know what I mean? Like El Lindemann, like just call a number. Somebody's here to help. Like it's okay. You don't have to do this. It's like.
Yeah,
like T-Hawk, you can leave. You can go do whatever you want, man. It's
I mean, T-Hawk
very
is
sad.
He's on the verge of retiring.
He looks like he's crying every single time he gets in the ring. He looks like on the verge of tears. It's like, is this like a human trafficking situation that we're into these days? Like, does somebody need to come and like get them or
to rescue Lindemann and T-Hawk?
Like, do they want to be here or like?
Yeah, I mean, I feel
when
like
they're at the airport, do they look at the number that because like American airports always have are you a victim of human trafficking? Call this number. Like, do they need to call that number? I don't know. I seriously question it at this point. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, they're so good, and it's just a shame that they have to wrestle anonymously in these places, except when they're, doing their little, because, Shima's the junior champ, so he'll hang around. They'll hang around a little bit longer and then
go on to the next one. There's nowhere else to go, though.
Well, they signed the contract with GLEAT, which is a big promotion.
Yeah,
I mean,
great.
I can't take that seriously.
Kaliga, and then I don't know what's left after that.
All these promotions, Kaliga, GLEAT.
They'll pop up on Onita's new thing that everyone's excited about, even though it's going to definitely suck or never happen.
They're going to hold 2 shows, and that's going to be the end of it.
Right. I don't.
These are all junk promotions. Just, they're all fucking money laundering operations. It's like, how can you can't care about it. I used to give lip service or pay attention to these startups because I felt like we had to. No more. I can't pay attention to Kaliga. I can't do it. I don't have time for GLEAT. Okay? Come to me in 2-3 years, and if GLEAT proves that they're a regular full-time promotion and a big-time promotion, then they'll get my attention. They haven't earned my attention. These dumpy little these non-stop startups, they need to earn my attention now. So no, I don't care about GLEAT. I don't care about Dominic, and I don't care about GLEAT. I can't. I don't have the fucking energy or the time to give a shit about GLEAT. But yeah, anyway, that was the Champion Carnival final with bonus GLEAT burial.
There you go. That's what you got. So, all right, let's then get into quickly here. Dragongate, Dead or Alive. We have about 25 minutes ago here, so we'll get Dragongate and AEW in here. You have mentioned the possibility of an overrun. Do you want to mention how you think you're going to be able to do that? Because those are all shows that I have not seen. So how do we want to? You are going to do an overrun, but I think it's going to be a little different than what we usually do.
Either that or a solo. We'll figure it out. Maybe I won't even drag you into it. It's up to you, really.
Go solo. Can you go solo? I have nothing to offer on those things, and I do need to go to bed at some time.
I got to tell you, I was honestly planning on a solo overrun. So,
as much as I would love to be involved and do a Joe Take It Away for 4 shows that I've never watched.
You don't want to set me up for Super 8 takes?
Not really, no.
Okay.
We went late yesterday, and I'm still kind of trying to catch up from that. So I would, again, if you can have, if people listen, everybody listen to this, have your friends, their friends, and all of your family become $10 subscribers, then I will have plenty of time to do 4-hour overruns where I set Joe up for ECWA Super 8 reviews or GCW and Jersey Championship Wrestling shit. So the overrun will not stream live. Joe will do a solo version and we'll get it up pretty soon as well. So if you're cool with that, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'm going to do a solo overrun. I think the tentative topics are going to be AAA, Rey DeReyes, the ECW Super 8, maybe a little game changer, Jersey Championship Wrestling. I have some thoughts on that. And who knows what else. There could be some surprises up my sleeve. But probably sometime Friday that'll pop up on the $5 feed. But yeah, we're obviously not going to get to any of those topics. So look for that. There'll also be a Thursday TV reviews in some form as well. So I'll be a busy man tomorrow.
You are a busy man. Yeah. That's I got WrestleMania randomizer going up to. You're getting a lot of content on this Patreon. This is
we got to raise the prices.
Yeah, what the hell are we doing here? We're idiots.
We got to go 12-6. We got to go 12-6. The only thing stopping me from going 12-6 is then we have to go back and change all of the prices on every post we ever did. So
yeah, that's such a pain in the ass. Yeah, we're still trying to do that with the $10 thing, and it's still a fucking train wreck. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we'll keep it to 5 to 10 now. So. But this is stupid. Have your friends do it so I can quit my damn job and do this stuff full time. Anyway, Dragongate Dead or Alive, that happened on the 5th. We have a review up at voiceswrestling.com. Case Lowe's incredible Dragongate reviews. This one, no exception. Also, the Open the Voice Gate podcast. If you want extended thoughts about Dead or Alive, they recorded, I think, the same day, the day of Dead or Alive 2021. So really good stuff from those guys there, the Open the Voice Gate crew. But Joe, real quickly, we'll go over this show. Did you see everything on the show? I
saw the whole show.
Okay, so I think I did as no. Okay, no, I missed the first 2 matches. I picked it up at the Brave Gate. So
I can do them quick.
Yeah, Ben K, Bakotomo Dragon, Ho Ho Lund versus RED.
So they did a great finish. Ben K and Big R Shimizu did their old tag team finish. Little foreshadowing, possibly.
Okay, all right, yeah.
End the match. So, look, the Buku Timu Dragon thing is starting to wear out its welcome. So, was that a little foreshadowing that those two guys might be teaming again? Or was it just them having some fun in, a pre-show opener? I don't know. But that was the big thing there.
And then Ho Ho Lung got to do the opener, roll out of the ring, and join the English commentary booth, which is always awesome.
Yes.
So. Ho Ho Lung's the greatest. I love it. There's a quote that I'm going to talk about a little bit later that just it popped me. I was crying for like 5 straight minutes when it was done. So Don Fuji and Ultimo Dragon versus Mandai Ryu and Stalker Ishikawa.
Yeah, well, it was a match that happened.
All right, there you go. That's
not Stalker's best material.
No, that's oh man, the only comedy wrestler you like, Stalker Ishikawa, but
yeah, it wasn't his A material. So, but yeah, it was based around Stalker's comedy, and Don Fuji's Don Fuji.
I'm Don Fuji. Hi.
Never burying that guy. He's fucking
no,
Don
hell no.
Fuji.
He'd fucking whoop your ass if you bury him.
Or he wouldn't care.
Care. He would shrug or he'd whoop your ass. Either way, he doesn't care. Yeah, he wouldn't care when he was beating your ass. He'd just be beating your ass because he wanted to. So, yeah,
it was a 4-minute pre-show match. What do you want from me?
So then we get the Open the Bravegate match. It's Keisuke Okuda versus UT. Okuda, I absolutely love. This is the great Ho Ho Lung quote because Okuda comes out with a rapper and I forget his name, but Jay goes, "Oh, that's X. That's Japanese rapper X who did Okuda's new theme music." So the music plays, and it's a terrible song for the record. It's a horrendous song that's playing and it's blaring, and the guy's screaming, and Ho Ho Lung goes, I don't understand any of these words. And Jay goes, "Well, you don't know Japanese." And he goes, "Oh yeah." I died. Yeah. I was dying at that because Holon generally is like, "I don't understand this song. What is he trying to say?" And Jay's like, "Well, you don't know Japanese, do you?" And he's like, "Oh no, I guess I don't."
Yeah. Oh, that's the reason.
Yeah. It's just, God, I love those guys. And the best part about it is that it's totally they're not doing a bit either. It's just Jay the straight man and Ho Ho Lun, who's just like your nephew that's watching wrestling with you. It's just the best.
He's just a lovable dope.
He's just an idiot.
He had a line later that I can't wait to talk about later on that I was just like, I was just smacking my forehead like, come on, Ho Ho.
It's like a not annoying Art Donovan. You know what I mean? Like Art Donovan got really old after like 20 minutes. Ho Ho never gets old. But he has the same charm of an Art Donovan. Like you're imagining this is the first time he's ever seen pro wrestling, and he's just so excited about everything, and it's awesome. But I like that. I don't understand these words. Well, you don't know Japanese. Oh yeah,
yeah.
As he just realizes, oh, you're right. I don't know Japanese.
Right.
This is incredible. So this was good. This was really, really good. Okuda, this is probably his most kind of normal match that he's had in Dragongate. I prefer a little bit more the brutal, kind of hard-hitting Okuda, but this is a good little match here for the Bravegate.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some people really going crazy for it. I didn't think it was a great match or anything. But,
yeah, it didn't reach that level to me. But
it kind of fell apart at the end, too. When Okuda, they had that little blown spot towards the end on like it was like I don't know what they were going for. It was like he dropped them on a fireman's carry or something. I don't know what they were. And then they kind of got lost a little bit there, but, it didn't destroy the match or kill the match, but it got a little sloppy towards the back end. And this wasn't the UT breakout performance that he needed. I mean, that guy is just getting passed up by every generation.
I mean, that I think was the most glaring thing to me is like Okuda is like, all right, yeah, you know what you got out of this guy now. He's a proven commodity at this point, but UT, it's just like, dude, where are we going here with this guy? Like, he's fine, but I mean, there's so many other guys on this roster that are passing up, and the problem is the next generation are blowing by him at this point too. So it's just like, yeah, what is the future for this guy?
Yeah, and Okuda is just. He brings something so different to the table than the rest of a Dragongate show. So I think that's important.
Yeah, he brings an aura of badass too. Like, and that's so rare in this company. Like, and there's guys that come out and they look like that, but I mean, he just comes out with that aura of just that swagger of just like,
he just works a different way too.
Yeah, I'm the shit, and he works great too. Yeah, so yep. It's really good stuff here. So Kagetora, Kota Minoura, Ryo Saito, and Kanda versus Masato Yoshino, Naruki Doi, and the RED team of BB Hulk and Eita. This was interesting here in that Yoshino is done. It's very sad, but it's over. It's done. The guy, they're talking about how he can't move and his neck hurts. And I'm like, oh man, just stop. Like, it's okay.
I think I have faith he's got one or two more in him.
I think so. Yeah. I honestly, if I were him, I would just kind of sit it out for a little bit and build up to that August show where make yourself healthy and go out there and just have some bangers I
want to see Speed Muscle have another, me and my boy Bill Thompson want to get a couple more Speed Muscle matches in there. Before he hangs
Speed Muscle
up.
match 1001 and 1002.
Yeah. So, but in all seriousness, I do want to see Speed Muscle one more time, and I really won't care how good it is. Just play the hits and give me a match against a couple of shitbag heels, and man, part of me wants to see Doi turn on him one more
just
time.
He's got to turn on him one more time. Of course he does.
I mean, that's kind of, part of me wants to see that, but I also want to see them just,
They should have a good run, and then at the end of it, Doi should just turn on him. You know what I mean? Like, on that final night, they should shake hands and Doi turns on him. And it's just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
leaves him laying.
Right, just destroys him, leaves him laying. And it's just like, God damn it, Doi. Like, on this moment, you had to turn on him right now. Like, come on. It's his final match. Like, you don't have to turn on him now. But they need to do that. They have to do that.
Yeah.
I hope. But, all right, let's get to this Twin Gate match here. RED, it was the Kaito Ishida and Kazuma Sakamoto defeat the student and the protege here, or the teacher and the protege here, Mochizuki and Yoshida, to win the Twin Gate titles.
Yeah, so that's the end of that. I talked about in the preview how the Dragongate does that from time to time. They'll do a little short-term, fun little storyline like this, and then it wears out its welcome and they move on. Yeah, and
right. And this one is the perfect timing to kind of move on from this thing for sure.
Yeah, I kind of figured this would be the result. So yeah, and the match was fine. It's look, this wasn't a great show. I don't know where you stand, but this was not a great show. This was a perfectly competent show, which didn't peak very high, and I can't come on here and recommend it to people.
Yeah, no, they've definitely had better shows this year and better shows recently. Yeah, this was fine, but not great at any level.
Right.
And it's not going to get a whole lot better, as we mentioned a few of these more matches here.
It had some bad luck, too.
It had some really, really bad luck. Because, they opened the Triangle Gate match. It was a Masquerade defeating Natural Vibes to win the titles. 13 minutes, so nice and tidy little match here, which is good for Triangle Gate matches because sometimes they can go a little long here. But, the work in this was a little sloppier than I would have liked, and it didn't seem like anybody was really on the same page. And that's rare because, Dragon Gate, usually everyone's just in lockstep and everyone's just, working at the same pace. But, this one got a little sloppy at times and a little weird at times. And it definitely felt like it hurt the match. Like La Estrella, there was a few times where he kind of messed something up and it just brought the match to a complete grind. And he's still super, super young as well, so you understand why that happens. But and Jason Lee's very young as well still too. But I don't know. I expected this to be a little bit better than it was, and it was fine, but it was not great. I can't call it great at any level.
Ospreay, he completely choked on a flying space tiger drop and had to redo it. Like he just couldn't get over the rope, and then,
he just didn't do it.
And then time froze still, and then they all waited for him, and it's like, oh, this is a fucking. That's one of those situations where you probably just
do a suicide dive. Yeah, go and do a suicide dive, or
immediately just do a lame ass fucking springboard move. Don't reset the spot,
especially when it's the Sasuke special. Like it's so dorky. Then to bounce against the ropes and flip, and all the guys have to sit out there again. It just makes it completely ruins it. So.
Yeah, and there was some other sloppiness here, but there was some good stuff too. I mean, KZ hit like a flying uppercut on Dragon Dia towards the back end that looked great, and Jason Lee is always solid, and Yokozuka. But yeah, it wasn't a great match. We got the title change. Masquerade won that was the right call. They should have won the titles, and they did. But both of these threesomes have better matches in them for sure.
Then we move on to a match with very, very bad luck here. And a man with very bad luck here. Open the Dreamgate match. Shun Skywalker defending his Open the Dreamgate title against Hip Hop Kakuta. It ends in 4 minutes and 33 seconds by, quote, referee's decision, but Kakuta's shoulder either separated or something happened. The match stood still as they kind of figured out what they were going to do. He rolls out of the ring. He comes back in the ring. Shun Skywalker puts him in a hold. Kakuta, I don't know what happened, if he thought, hey, no, I'm good, I can do the match, because he tries to get in the ropes, and then they just have a guy on the outside throwing the towel, and the match is over. So, sucks. Yeah, it's an absolutely terrible way to finish this, and unfortunately, another 50% of these Shun Skywalker matches have had a guy get seriously injured at a point and kind of ruin the match. So that absolutely sucks for this guy. But yeah, really for Hip Hop Kakuta, it sucks because this is a big spot for him, a Dreamgate title match. He gets in there, he does one little kind of innocuous spot where he just does a drop down, and something happens to his shoulder, and he tries to get going. You could see that he thinks he's like, no, I'll go. But smartly, Dragongate and the other guys are just like, no, dude, what are you doing? Like, match is over. Just, it's okay. We'll move on. So there's a way they could tell a story with this, which is going to be cool in the future, but it sucks for this moment here in this match. Because you look at the other times in this match, and this was clearly a match that was designed to go a lot longer than it did. Well, obviously a lot longer than it did, but designed probably to go pretty damn long and be a pretty important match. But yeah, unfortunately, it's only 4 minutes. So
yeah, only his third singles match ever. And this was really a big spot for him. Could have been a star-making performance. Whatever story they were going to tell, he was going to lose anyway. But whatever story they were going to tell obviously went out the window, so who knows what would have happened coming out of the match. That's all thrown awry. It's just a really bad break, and I'm gutted for the guy. I feel bad for him because it happened so soon into the match as well. And I think what happened was it was a very innocuous spot where he threw out his shoulder or whatever it was. A very innocuous-looking spot, and he rolled out of the ring. And I think at that point, everybody figured out, okay, well, how are we going to get out of this? He clearly can't wrestle. And I think they did that by design because he rolled back in the ring and immediately Skywalker put him in a Fujiwara armbar on the injured arm. So I think that was the idea that I think they worked it out on the fly that they were going to do the, throw in the towel. They're like, okay, everyone sees that this arm is hurt. So why don't we just work a finish around it? And that's how we'll get out of this rather than just count him out or something like that, because then at least it looks like he showed some guts.
Right. Whether that was shoot or whether that was the work, yeah, that it's a cool way to do the finish, yeah, because it shows that he did not want it. He was no, I'm not going to give up. And it was the RD guys that instead
that threw the towel.
Threw the towel. So yeah, it's a cool way to, like I said, they can now tell a story out of this. That's smart pro wrestlers can think on their feet and do that quickly. So it's good that they had the whole brain trust of Dragongate down to the ring there, including a lot of the RD guys that either they came up with that on the fly or whatever. But it totally worked, and it's going to be a story down the line, too, when these guys eventually do get in the ring again. So they'll make the best of this bad moment, but yeah, this is a pretty shitty moment, unfortunately.
We had another Ho-Ho moment as Jai and Ho-Ho were obviously confused at what was going on and trying to figure it out on their own when he was out there selling the arm. And at first, they were thinking that maybe this was part of the match, and Red was like pulling some deception. And then when they realized that he was and then Ho-Ho gave a Ho-Ho line. He like totally just breaks and he says to Jai, "Do you think he's really hurt?" And it's like, kayfabe, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't say it in a way of like, he said it like he
like
wasn't,
they're friends. Like he's asking his friend, "Hey, do you think he's really hurt?" Yeah. not
or talking to another wrestler. Yeah.
Right.
He forgot he had a headset on and was broadcasting to the fucking English-speaking world. And he's like, "Oh, do you think he's really hurt?" And, Jai's like, "Oh, well, yeah, it looks like his shoulder. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, he might have trouble continuing, trying to cover for it." But another Ho-Ho moment as Kakuta was holding the shoulder.
Oh, my God. And then we get to our final match here, which was not a traditional kind of a dead or alive cage match. A little different here. This is a steel cage survival tag team match. So it was Kai and Yamato that had a team together, hated rivals teaming together, versus Dragon Kid and SB Kento, hated rivals that had a team together. And the idea here was that, you could leave the cage, and when you did that, you left your opponent or your tag team partner by himself, but that the losing team was going to have to face each other in a tag match. So there was some strategy in terms of how way like, escaping the cage and also way not losing the tag match as well. So Kai got out of there immediately, just kind of said, fuck it, I don't really give a shit, dude. Figure it out on your own. If we have to have a match, I'll figure it out anyway. Dragon Kid left after him, and then Yamato left as well, leaving Dragon Kid and Kento to have a hair versus mask match at the end, which Dragon Kid won, and SB Kento had to shave his hair. So what do you think of this match? A little convoluted rules. I wasn't super into it, even though the feud is cool, and I like I like the dynamics of both guys, but I thought it was just a little too convoluted for me and just a little too weird for me. But that such is the Dragongate Dead or Alive matches, so it's okay.
Didn't love it. I think the wind got taken out of the sails of the show with the injury.
Sure.
To some
The crowd
extent.
felt that way too. They didn't care. I hate to do they weren't clapping very loud, but the crowd just didn't seem to really care about this match much at all.
Atmosphere wasn't great. You know, the Dead or Alive cage matches are always a little weird. Sometimes they're a lot of fun.
They're fun, but
Sometimes-
rarely good. Does that make
Yes,
sense? Does that work? Like, I
correct.
love watching them, but I don't think they're good. So
Sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're just bad. But they're always wacky. You know, and I don't know, I didn't love any of this. I mean, I guess the singles match portion was pretty good. And then, you know, Kento loses and you know, the cocky little shit gets humbled a little bit, you know, and he shaved his own head. He wanted to shave his own head.
yeah,
and all
that was cool. That was a cool moment too, where a real badass moment where instead of letting anybody else have the you know, he sits down, grabs the clippers, yanks them out of people's hands, and goes, no, I'll do it. And he shaves his own head, and you know, doesn't give anybody else the pleasure of doing it, which is a nice little. I mean, that kid's he's fucking great. He's gonna be really, really good.
Yeah, he'd be a huge star. And I mean, we didn't get a big angle coming out of it or anything, but that was like a big moment for him of shaving his own head. He got humbled. He was in there with veterans. He lost, and he shaved his own head, and was very defiant in doing so. So, you know, that's the story of it all. But you know, was it a great match? Or something people need to go watch? No,
No, definitely not.
well, it wasn't really a great show. I mean, you know, the show was fine. I didn't think it was a bad show, but it was closer to being a bad show than it was being a good show. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Yeah.
All right, so we are out of time, but I will. We got 5 minutes, so I'll do 5 minutes here real quickly. AAW Take No Prisoners, Friday night, so tomorrow night, streaming live on Fight TV as well. So voicesofwrestling.com/fight. If you want to order that will help us out a little bit. Voicesofwrestling.com/fight. If you want to watch it live, I will be there live in person. As I said, the first live wrestling show I've been to since AEW Revolution 2020, and I am very excited. Just to see live wrestling, any live wrestling, but this is a goddamn good card on paper. You have AEW World Championship match, Mance Warner versus Fred Yehi. We've been talking about those live episodes, which we've been watching. And if you're not watching, you should definitely go out of your way to check out the AEW live show. And they're doing a TV taping as well. I don't know, because of the TV taping, and because of my work schedule, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there for all of the TV taping, but I'll be tweeting stuff out throughout the day. But I don't know. Well, I don't know if I want to spoil the Alive stuff. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with that. But I'll try to get there in time for the Alive stuff. But yeah, the pay-per-view itself has been very, very well built on their TV show. But Mance Warner versus Fred Yehi, AEW World Championship match. Leo Rush versus Laredo Kid, which was recently announced. That sounds awesome. AEW Heritage Championship, Myron Reed versus Matt Fitchett. Allison Kay versus Sky Blue, which sounds like a pretty fun match as well. Nice. It's been a solid build to that as well. Davey Vega versus ACH. Finally, a great chance to see ACH in person again. Ace Austin and Madman Fulton versus Gringo Local and the very dangerous TBD. Now, I don't want to tip my cap on who I think TBD might be, but there was a certain man that was wrestling on Alive, and Laredo Kid's on this match, and I don't know. We'll see, Joe, but I think I'll enjoy who the man that is the question mark here. But Ali Catch versus Sation, I believe is how you pronounce it. Hakeem Zayn versus Dante Leon, and also announced Jake Something, Matthew Justice, Manders, Braden Lee, and Ace Perry as well on this show. But that's a hell of a show for my return back to the world of live wrestling.
Aren't there new eps of Alive up that set all this up now?
Yes,
After
yeah,
the
they
ones we
did.
talked
Yeah,
about?
from the last we talked about it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I have
weeks
caught
ago,
up.
so-
Yeah, there's a show that just aired a few days ago that basically the go home. You know,
So how
it's-
many would I have to watch, or would someone have to watch to be before this?
I think two. I think just two
Okay.
at the point. I mean, honestly, you can really watch the last episode, the one that they just released,
Yeah.
because they go real hard and really.
Well, I mean, if
promote,
you
like,
wanted
every
to
single
watch
one.
everything, how many more are there between?
Between what we talked about and today, I
And-
believe
and-
there's two.
yeah.
I believe there's
Okay.
two.
Okay. Because that's what I want to do. I want to watch.
I want to say two, maybe three, but I think it's just two.
Okay.
Looking at it, but yeah, not a ton that happens. So like really, I mean, like not a ton of new build in it, but I mean, it just kind of progresses the stories a little bit. But otherwise, yeah, it sounds like on paper a really, really good card. Manser versus Yehi, they've done a really good job of building that up, so that'll be great. Leo Rush versus Laredo Kid, just a great match between two really, really good wrestlers. And Myron Reed and Matt Fitchett. I mean, definitely, if you have ever slept on Matt Fitchett, that you'll see in this match that he's just tremendous. And even Allison Kay and Sky Blue, I think they've done a really good job of building that up, with Allison Kay being kind of the bigger, taller woman, and Sky Blue being the young, short. She's like 4'9" or whatever. So they've done a good job of kind of building that story up, and it's all about Sky Blue kind of proving that she belongs and Allison Kay kind of being the big bully, and then hell, it's ACH versus Davey Vega. So
let me tell you something about Sky Blue. She wrestled Genocide on Power this week, Power Surge. And I was so impressed. I'd seen Sky Blue a couple times, was not very impressed a couple of times, didn't make much of an impression on me other times. But this match against Genocide, I could see what people see in Sky Blue. I think that she is a virtual lock to be on national television full-time someday.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
She's got a great look, but the work is now coming along too, and she's rock solid. Genocide I know I'm the only person watching.
Yes.
Genocide has been the breakout, hard to say star when no one's paying attention. Let me put it to you this way. If Power was still on YouTube, everyone would be talking about Genocide. She is the breakout star of the Power season that no one's watching. And she had an excellent match against this Sky Blue. That match convinced me, and she's an AAW regular, and they're obviously giving her a push, and they're going to push her. She's in there with the veteran, Allison Kay. She will be on national television. So I don't know how long it's going to take. I think she's had some AEW matches already on Dark.
She's been on Dark a few times. Yeah, she has been on Dark. So yeah.
Yeah, and now she's doing NWA. So she's on. Look, this is hardly a hot take because people were obviously ahead of this more, faster than we were because they're booking her. But, she's, to me, it's a lock. So, look, I don't think, she's not Sasha Banks, but you could see what's there. You could see the tools. You could project it. She's projectable. How about that?
Yeah, for sure. No, you can absolutely see it. She has a definitely like a TV look to her, and yeah, as long as the in ring gets there, she'll be fine. So, and the problem is, like, I think what I've seen of her is that she kind of has succumbed sometimes to like kind of the gimmicky indie bullshit, which is, it's easy to do. You go in there and that's kind of the tenor of the company and all that sort of stuff. And that's what we've always said. Like if you treat it like a joke, then it's a joke. But when she goes in there in real companies, she just goes out there and just works. And when she does that, she's really, really good. So, the less she does
of work in progress, no doubt. I mean,
yeah. No, she's.
I mean, I think she's a kid too, isn't she? Very young,
like 22 or something like that. Some stupid young age, like just annoyingly young or something.
Yeah, she's not. Listen, I'm not suggesting. I'm not putting her on Raw tomorrow to wrestle Charlotte. What I'm saying is, she's very projectable. So, I definitely see national TV in her future.
Yeah, definitely.
And at the rate that people get signed these days, I was
going to say in today's atmosphere, she's going to get signed like very, very
in a year.
Quickly.
She'll be signed in a year
for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is that. So I'll be tweeting out a report live there, and I'm just very happy to go to live wrestling again, finally, after a very, very, very long time. So, again, as I said, streaming live as well on Fight TV, so voicesofwrestling.com/fight if you want to watch that live. And AEW is worth your time. They've been really, really good since they've come back, and this show appears to be no exception. So, or we'll see. We'll see how it delivers, but it'll be at their 115 Bourbon Street venue as well, so it won't be the same, like, galley lucha arena that they do at the side of a an abandoned mall. It won't be that. It'll be an actual venue and an actual place, and it appears to have there'll be a decent crowd there as well. So it'll be pretty cool to
we said we'd do more indies, and we're going to do more.
And we're
doing
more of them. So.
And remember, Overrun. So if you want to hear about AAA Ray DeReyes, if you want to hear about ECWA Super 8, if you want to hear about Game Changer Jersey Championship Wrestling's weekend from last weekend, subscribe to the $5 tier. There will be an Overrun this week. Again, more indies, trying to do some different indies too, not just the Game Changer universe. So, and we will review the AAW show next week, obviously, as well, because Rich will be there live.
Yep.
So, that's it. I guess wrap it up, Rich.
There you go. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling for that Overrun and all the other content we did, including our instant reaction of Blood and Guts. If you're wondering, hey, they didn't talk about Blood and Guts, and hey, the TV reviews, they're not going to talk about Blood and Guts. Well, we talked about it for 2 hours last night. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. So anyway, that is it for us. So for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you next time on the Voices of Wrestling Flagship Podcast.